Just one. Yeah, hold on. 1 minute. 1 minute, you know, but they do it in other places. That's crazy. I'm gonna break up back. Yeah, I will. Yeah, okay. Unless you want to start, then I can come on. They were the commission is just we discussed in the last meeting, everybody had the ordinance. Yeah. Oh, so because I missed missing a lot of things I've been catching up on YouTube. Yeah, yes, it is. I know it's not here on Monday, and then after April, I'll be able to come back to the commission meetings. They're always interesting. I got the sign language. We're going to bring that up in the record. Oh, yeah. So I'm here to the tour. I can be right there. My face is ready to be picked up after the meeting.
Did you take Darlene with you? Yeah. I'm glad she went.
Oh, okay. He came to my store. It could have been a good time. It's fine. It might have been 2 months ago. I said, how come you not having that? He said he's really busy with work. I mean, he's done. Oh, okay.
That's for you.
For me?
Yes. Look at you.
Hi, how are you?
How's everybody?
We're just waiting on the clerk. She had to go do something, so that's why we've not started yet.
I think so too. Like I said, maybe it might have been 2 months. Yeah, been a while. But this one is only one. I'm sorry.
And she been, she just sick, she just.
I've been in the house.
I have two.
Just like ocean, you know, but right now, like wiping out.
What are you gonna ask about that? I don't know about you, but do what?
Let them do some work. It's the
First four, they
You didn't do, you did, no, I did. What I'm saying, I didn't go.
You don't know.
But I go right.
They think they know, and they want to go away, and they really want to argue over it. They say, right,
You don't know. Just supposed to be raised in the church. No, they are required. Well, I'm on fast today. I got to run away today. Go figure.
I don't know, one really needs to get that.
She needs to.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we can rein it in, my apologies for the late start, but we're getting ready to start. The first thing we'll start with, good evening, everybody, board appointments. So, let me see, we have the, I think there's 3 appointments, cemetery board, Ms. Anna Brown.
Oh, I'm so sorry, baby.
You want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your appointment? Whatever you want to about why you want to be appointed. And just a little bit about yourself and why you want to be appointed.
My name is Anna M. Brown. I'm a resident of Benton Harbor, lifetime resident. I wanted to basically come back to the cemetery board because I see the need for some innovative and some measures that we have to restore the integrity of it and get our city residents involved because a lot of our ancestors are there. And for us to maintain that legacy, we can't sit on the sidelines anymore. So I took a sabbatical, retooled some things with me, and now I'm ready for the challenge.
Praise God.
Great.
Oh, praise the God.
Yes, how you doing, Ms. Brown?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for wanting to come back. Because we do need that cemetery. Like you said, our ancestors are there. And how long you been away?
About 2 years, I believe.
See it, you see what's happening, right?
Yeah, I see, and for me to sit back and talk about it
Mm-hmm.
and not do something, or at least try to, it's new.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for coming back and wanting to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for serving. We appreciate your service on the board.
You're more than welcome.
The next appointment is for the legislative committee in Chautauqua, Pittsburgh. I don't see him. And the last one will be Glen Yarborough for the planning commission.
You've been moving a little slow. I used to be fast, but it's all right.
Tell us what you want to tell us about yourself and why you wanted to serve on the
Well,
planning commission.
I want to serve again
for the city of Benton Harbor. I've served so diligently before. Enjoyed serving, enjoyed working for the people. I did a lot of things around here with the help of the citizens who supported me, and we supported each other, and I saw where it was an opening and to see us trying to get back on the move again. Looked like we had come to a standstill at one point there, and we wasn't moving. Not saying that nobody wasn't trying to move, not saying that nobody wasn't doing the right things to move, but I think with my expertise of working with the city for pretty close to 20 years, being a resident for pretty close to 60, I've worked with a lot of young people that I see grown now, and I just wanted to, not doing anything, I'm not working anymore. I still can think a little bit, I can halfway read, I never was able to read good, but I can still read a few words, and I just wanted to come back and serve. I wanted to come back and serve our city, which is still our city. Sometimes you think it's not, sometimes you think it's gone, but if we pull together and reach back and think and communicate with each other, work with each other, this is our city. And I don't go to see anyone take our city. They can't have our city. They can help us grow our city. And so I just feel that I still have something to offer. And if I sit at home and don't offer it, how could it be fair to the people? So that's why I want to come back and serve. If I'm selected to serve, I'll try to serve as a good member. I'll try to probably ask her a lot of questions and demand a lot of answers, true answers, not just answers to pacify us. We need the truth now. Now is the time of the truth. You know, this is 2020 is time of the truth for us, time of the truth for the president, it's time of the truth for us. So I just want to come back and serve. I read the paper every day. I read what's going on. I'm in agreement with a lot of what's going on. I'm agreeing with some of the things that's not going on. You know, that's the way I am. I ride the streets every day. I ride the neighborhoods. I ride the streets I see. I know what this city was, and I know what it still needs to be, and I know what it can be. All we have to do is come together and do it. I'm willing to share the rest of my whatever I got up here to help that to be done. That's what I wanted to do.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yarborough, if you want to come back and, like you said, you drove around the city, you see, you want to help with the growth. I can tell you have a passion for the city, and, 20 years of experience. I'm sure you've seen the fall and now the struggles, and now it's back on the move. You ready to jump in?
Yes, sir. Right. I don't know how deep I'm gonna jump in, but I have to jump in. I jump in real deep.
I just thank you for coming back and give back to the city to serve.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough.
Thank you.
Just move. Nope, that's it.
For the brownfield board out here?
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to it yet. The first board is the cemetery board. That'll be doing a presentation tonight.
Oh.
Then it's the Brownfield Development Authority. Is there somebody from the cemetery that'll be doing a presentation tonight? And I would say, because there's so much, the maximum 5, between that 5 and 7 minutes or less, if we can, there's a lot of committees presenting.
Yeah, my name is Bert Edquist. I'm with C Management, the current managers of the Crystal Spring Cemetery until a week from Monday. Just a FYI, because of the records we have out there, C Management has been sued over a burial at the cemetery. The contract between C Management and the city agreed to defend me on issues like this where the information was not provided to me. So I just want to let you know that that's in the works. Depending upon what the city decides as far as whether they want to defend, you might want to consider that if you're trying to get somebody else in here to operate the cemetery, if the lawsuit is not defended, you're not going to have a whole lot of people wanting to come in after me and take over. I don't know. The records there are very challenging, very, very challenging. And anybody that comes in is not going to be able to do it with just the cash flow that's there. The city at some point in time will have to help financially if they want to keep the cemetery in decent shape. Come next Monday, personally, I just have trying to figure out, right now, as far as I know, there's nothing lined up to take care of the cemetery on the 16th of March. I need to find out what we do with utilities, what we do with phones. There's no contracts for spaces that the city would be able to enter into with the purchasers of cemetery spaces that I know of. There will need to be somebody from the city that comes out to the cemetery to point out the space if we're going to continue to dig the graves. The sea management can serve as a contractor to dig the graves, but I don't want the legal liability of locating the space. The city's going to have to agree to that. Also, anything that is done after the 16th, the families will have to pay the city or the cemetery. And if we're going to continue to do the burials for us, then the city would need to pay us. As far as anybody being in the office after that point in time, I don't know how the city wants to handle that as far as who's going to pay the wages for those people. Right now, the buildings are armed. Sea Management has the contract with the alarm security system. And also, if we're going to do the burials, will we have permission to leave equipment there in the buildings to do the burials? So those are some things that I need to work out next week. As far as I know, there's something in the works, but as far as taking over on that particular day, I've not been informed of that. So we'll need some guidance on that as far as what the city wants to do with that. I don't want to put a family in a position where the burial can't be made, but I also don't want the legal liability of picking out a space after the contract is expired. Any questions?
So, and I think when you came to give a presentation, I think it was a couple months ago.
Right.
Couple months ago, and I'll share with you what I thought about this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're taking on a responsibility like that, it's not our fault that you didn't
I'm
consider.
not saying any faults. I'm just
Yeah,
letting you
but I'm
know.
just saying, so now the city has to take back this cemetery. It's unfortunate for our families. We entered into a negotiation, a contract in good faith, saying that you would run that and you didn't keep up your bargain. And so now the city has to fall back and to intercede because you failed to do your job. So my level of tolerance with this whole situation is way up here.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying, and we will be getting back with you about all of this, because at the end of the day, we know that we have to take care of this because it is our responsibility. And so I would never want to do business with you again, personally.
It was in the agreement.
I understand that, but at the end of the day, you're giving back to us a problem So when you take on something, like I said, you're supposed to know what you're getting into, and getting into this to make money, I understand that. That's not our, that's not our that's not our problem. But we have, this is a problem because we have to maintain it now. And so that's where my concern is, and we'll be getting back with you, as a, city about this particular thing.
Okay.
Is there any other questions from the board?
If I may, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Because before you arose, I was through the chair very aware of the mess that was already there. And what we that don't have a business or have ever operated or owned one,
Please state your question, Commissioner.
I'm going to.
Please, thank you.
And it's not a question, it's just a suggestion because we're the 4th into March and we've known this months ago. And we're just now getting a presentation that was asked years ago that these boards come forth and do this. Okay? But my question is, since we have done some things, no suggestion, since we have done some things to generate some yearly cash flow, I think that we need to reconsider or revisit the $4,000 a month towards our cemetery. And that's just a suggestion that this body should make, not just one person. But I think that something like that needs to move forward, where it needs to move. But we knew that this day was coming and we cannot allow our cemetery to go untouched or for it to cost us more than what they're asking for, because I think that we can make this happen and work with this gentleman trying to come behind somebody else and fix their mess with missing records, missing bodies, missing money, and everything else that occurred way before he showed up. And for that is why I thank you. I know that there was something else that was already in the works, and I guess that person is not working out, but it cannot go undone because we're leaving here daily. And I don't know how to dig graves. I don't know how to run an earth mover. But we need to work with this young man, at least until we can get on better grounds with where we're going with our cemetery. Thank you.
Did you have anything else?
No, I was, my name is Lisa Berry, and I was recently appointed to the cemetery board and recently appointed as the chair. And being new, I don't know all of the past other than the experiences that I've had. And before Mr. Burt was there, I had an experience. So I know, and that was years ago, I know that way before he came, I went out looking for my grandmother. They couldn't find her. And I was told by the guy that was there before, I don't know his name, but he told me, it's been so long, why would you even care now about putting a headstone down there? So that did something to me at that time. So I do know from a personal experience that there has been some issues out there. And I do know from having family that has been recently placed out there that they were treated very well. I just had an uncle placed out there within the last 2 weeks, and then had another relative about a month ago. So I know that the management company that was there, they respected them. But again, I don't know about the, previous issues, but I know there were some, but hopefully we can do something to
We have to, there's not a
move forward.
we have to at this point. And so, just my discussion with the city manager, that's what he was just saying, there's some things that's happening, so.
Oh, okay, and we requested that like for 3 meetings in a row, and we never received any information, so
it's not.
so we actually don't know, so that's just, at this point, there's nothing we can say.
And I think he'll be getting back to you guys with that information.
Okay. I think you had told me that it would be tonight when you and I were in your office.
You're the chair.
I'm not finna send it.
Chair's not listening. Ask the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know. I had, spoken to the city manager, and he had said that he would give us some information tonight, so I didn't, that's why I was hearing them.
Oh, I thought you were doing a presentation as well, so.
Well, I mean, we were here, but he had mentioned that, we would get some information tonight, so I didn't know, so if that's changed, then, okay.
Thank you. The next board is up is the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
The chair don't have an arm. Yeah, yeah.
The one who's asked me to help. Because I need help myself.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, there's another one sitting next to me. Good evening. Pass, no, just to this, so to these right here? Yeah, one of these. Good evening. My name is Emma Hull, former mayor of the city of Benton Harbor, retiree from Michigan State University, and not a lifelong resident of Benton Harbor, but since 1957, which will in 7 more years maybe make it 77 years. 70 years, how many? But anyway, I think most of you know me. I've been working since I left the mayorship. I never stopped because, as so many of us that are still working have said, we love our community. And that's why we continue to work. We continue to do what we can to make changes. Sometimes we can't always do what everybody wants us to do, and sometimes we do more than what they want us to do. But as long as we're here working to make better for everyone, and that's why I've been on this Brownfield board for quite a few years now. So I'm passing you out some information. It will give you all the information about the Brownfield board. But I asked the clerk, and she said she wouldn't stop me from talking, but she said, don't talk long. So, so that lets me know that it's
5 minutes.
5 minutes. I said, oh, I'm not gonna stop, so I can talk a long time. She said, oh, it's all right, but don't talk long. But anyway, that's the reason I had this written out for us. So you can read it when you get home. You have a book, so you can see the things that we've done through the Brownfield. And if you have any questions, we will be having a meeting tomorrow because it was postponed. We will be having a meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We have 2 of our members here with us tonight, which is your commissioner, Ms. Adams, and Ms. Lisa Burton. So if you have anything that I can't answer, and I also have a staff that's not here who is Mark Florin. But if you need more information, the meetings are open. And we have Sister Commissioner Juanita Henry used to be a former member of Brownfield. And she's been very active about coming to the meetings, and you know she's gonna keep it straight. Everybody know that about Juanita, she won't do that. And I appreciate that. I do, I appreciate it. So anyway, it was formed in 1998, as you can see here. The city commissioner established. This Brownfield does belong to the city. We're the arm of the city. And so the board is up under, the authority is up under supervision and control of 9 members that was appointed. And as you see on the list, we have 9 appointed board members here. And the mission of the authority is to support technical advice as well as independent banking institutions with our account, which is through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And we also have a technical assistant advisor who is Mark Florin, a banking institution, which is the Fifth Third, and accountant, which is Frank Moran. And we have the legal counsel, which is Scott Barnes and Thornburg. So all these are the legal counsel that we have because we do have a staff. We have a board and we have a staff to make sure that things go right. And the board is definitely responsible, and we are responsible to the city. And we want to make sure things is right for the city because we are arms of the city to make sure that economic development comes through and is done right and legal. So the purpose, the mission of the authority is to promote the retaliation and the environmental distress and blighted or economically functioning obsolete properties within the city to make a change. And basically, we had a lot of old, this was a industry here. and all the filling stations and all the factories, they had contamination. And to get those cleaned up so that we can get those developed and some of the properties. You will see in the book all of some of the properties that we have developed. And the eligible properties, well, we do the responsibilities to meet, we meet on a regular basis, once every month. And they always say that, well, y'all don't meet. Well, if we don't get a quorum, we don't meet. So sometimes we come and we have to leave, because people that we used to have not been committed nor dedicated to want to come all the time. I come. I've been on it since, as it says, since 1998, but you get home. Because I never stop, because this is my city and I want to see a change. And they have eligible properties, and these are properties owned by the Benton County Land Bank Authority, and those designed as being blighted or functionally obsolete, also considered eligible. If properties are half torn down or needed to come down, those are the eligibility. Activities are, eligible activities can also include infrastructure improvement, land or pest abatement, demolition, and site preparation. So we have those. And then training, we're gonna go on down to training. I'm skipping some of it because you do have the sheet, you can read it. Training, we have had several trainings, and I really am agreeing to people when they have board trainings for the cemetery, for the brownfield, for the housing. I think those that sit on those boards need to go. I think that's, though you can't sit on and do right if you don't know. But if you take the opportunity to go and to do it, this one lady, I was at a meeting, I know y'all got to go, but I was at a meeting, and I said, no, I need to go to some training. Oh, no, you can learn as you go. I said, no, I can't do that. I said, I need to get some training so that if I'm working for the city, I want to let the city know I'm doing the best I can in their interest, so I need to know. She said, well, you should know that it's going to be a lot before you got on here. I said, hell, hold up. I got married and didn't know what it was going to be before I got married either. So don't tell me what you know what it's going to do, because it takes a lot when you get into something. So I said, I need some training. And I got some training when I got married too. So, but anyway, so you have to, don't shy away from training. Please don't. Try to go all you can. And Miss Adams and Juanita, to know we had to go to a lot of training. And Miss Adams been really trying to get grants for us to write grants. Been on it for years so that we can get other people trained so that they can know what's going on. Okay, then we establish a revolving loan fund for assessed capture taxes can be deposited in a local state remediation revolving fund and used to conduct eligibility activities in an eligible property within the city. And of course, the training. And then I give you a book and you can see all the properties that we have put into our brownfield site. All of them have not been worked on, but we grandfathered them in so that they can be eligible for the brownfield money, so that they can be eligible there. And of course, we got a lot of accomplishments. We got tactical investment and job creation. We have, this was prepared by the Michigan Strategy Fund and filled with the Michigan legislature through calendar 2017. The authority's efforts has resulted in taxable investment exceeding 21 million, more than 255,000 square feet of new residential, commercial, and industrial development, more than 400 new permanent jobs that has been created through the creation of this brownfield authority. We've been applying for state and federal funds, of course, we've been doing that. We've been acquiring property to be developed for the city. We keep turning. Involvement of education and city residents, and the promotion of among target investors. We're trying to promote investors to come and make applications to invest in our city and to get some part of the brownfield redevelopment authority. So basically, that's the rest of it. You can read about the revolving fund and all the properties that we have had. Is there any questions that you need to ask?
I do, just about the time, how often have you not had a quorum for your meetings?
Oh, we usually have it maybe once or 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay. Is the time of day or will time of day make a difference?
Well, they agreed to it.
Okay.
They agreed when they got on the board to say they could make the meetings at 4 o'clock on Thursdays. So if we decided to change it, we could do it as a board. If they say I can't make these meetings.
That may be something that may help.
Well, so far-
Change the time of day so that it can be opened up.
Well, what happened though, when we had the emergency manager, it took us down to 5 members. And we can have, as you see here, a 9-member board. And so 5 members, if 2 or 3 don't show up, then we can't have a quorum. But now we up to a 9-member board. So Mark, our staff, who is very, very good with keeping us in the loop of what's going on. He had to be out of town, so we changed our meeting this month to, matter of fact, tomorrow. But if it's anything that needs to come up, we'll try to do a call meeting if it's really important. But now we have 9 members. The mayor saw fit, and I think you did, to put us up to 9 members. So we have 9 members this year. We'll see how it goes. Any other questions?
Share the most latest with them. I think that's exciting for the community.
Share what?
The latest decisions that we've made. With the
She's the chair. She's the chair. I need to ask her what she wants.
She's like, you can come up with it if you have something.
I
Yes,
sure will.
Well, you on the board, you can
And I'm gonna
share.
be real quick, because I know you got a long list.
You can share.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And it's been an honor and pleasure as a Brownfield Authority board member to help with the growth of our community. I've been a board member, I started off in 2002 when the board was resurrected from, I think, 94, 95 or something like that. Anyway, until emergency management, and I was most recently put back on several months ago, I think sometime last year. Anyway, I never stopped going to the meetings though.
That's right.
But something about that emergency management just didn't smell right. Anyway, most recently, over the course of the years, we had been getting grant dollars through the consultant that consisted of job training. And you know, every time, and you'll hear one of my our colleagues mention job training, a bell just goes off. And we never see that training taking place other than the facilitator getting paid. Because it's no secret that we know we have children, youth in our community that knocks on my door, and probably some others too, looking for a job to make an honest buck. But we know what day and time we live in, but they're hungry. And if they don't eat and they can't get it honestly, they're going over to the hotel across the bridge. So my thing was, when I heard that, what can we do to utilize what assets we have to create something in the form of some real job training, starting with our youth, not knowing that this my brother's keeper thing was going to come along and help along the way at building something large for people of color. So just recently, when we had the event at the college with my brother's keeper and equity network of Ms. Gaddens and the Sharp Foundation and the communities of my brother's keeper from over Michigan. Anyway, the Brownfield, we found a way to utilize with the laws that are in place, how to implement what we do as Brownfield Authority Board into that event. And we were able to donate $5,000 towards the event because we had free reign of the whole college. And it's costly, and it was actually more than that. But nobody else came out of pocket for anything for anybody, you know, to point or anything, but it was wonderful. Some of you all were able to attend. The children, the youth, the ones that it was for, actually enjoyed themselves. And it was wonderful to see them out of the realm of everyday school doing exactly that. Something that I think we need to do more often. But we also put together a line item within our budget to actually put forth some monies every year for exactly that, with the school system that I'm hoping that we will be working with to utilize and to get some of our young people trained in the field of environmental consulting or whatever it consists of. And I've recently spoken with, I haven't gotten a chance to share with the rest of the authority, but the school board president, as well as the superintendent. And you all have heard me talking about Manchester Bidwell since forever. And you're going to continue until we can get somebody in here to help to push and put this other wheel on this cart that's been moving slowly. We get this other wheel on and we're gonna be well on our way for the ones that count in our community, instead of just watching down here grow. With the hearts and minds of the others in the community, and growth and training start taking place. Thank you.
Can I finish?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This brownfield was put into spur development for the city of Benton Harbor. We would like whatever the city of Benton Harbor would like to see done in the area of development and redevelopment. We want to be there with the finances to be able to help you. We have put together, and we did support a training years ago. We had a training with Benton Harbor, and it was down at the place we trained young people to get job training. That wasn't just in the brownfield. They could be trained in anything. I don't know what happened to those, but when I found out and I looked at the list of how many people was trained, they were coming from Coloma, Waterloo, South Bend, New York, Chicago. Very few was coming from Benton Harbor. And when we talk about our youth and monies that we're going to put into Benton Harbor, it should be for the Benton Harbor youth, not for youth that comes from township, that comes from Coloma, and they need to have a Benton Harbor address. Because a lot of our monies go out for training or for people just to make a crowd that don't belong to us, and we don't get the benefit back. But our money is gone. So therefore, we did set aside $50,000, but the board has not yet put the stipulations of how it's going to be used. Because we don't just want to say it's $50,000 set aside for you. We don't always want to put the money in for that. The board has to make those decisions. And as I told them, we are here to support the city of Benton Harbor. We're not here to spread ourselves all over the community, because we cannot be a with-all for everybody. So we have to take care of the business at hand, which is in Act 381, what you will see from these books. And that's what we have to narrow it down. So we don't want people to come to us thinking that we can spend money to do this for you, to do that for you, because we cannot. We do have a revolving loan fund, but whatever the board said, which is legal, which is involved, that we can do legally, and then have some money so we can continue to stir it up. It's really, I really have a great respect for this board and for the city manager. And so if he sees things that he wants us to do and see properties he wants us to clean up, or see developer that he wants us to do, we will try to do that within through Act 381. That's what we are here for the city of Benton Harbor. So, yeah, you said thank you, right? You stop.
Thank you.
So if anybody else have any other questions, and I'm happily to serve. I have served and I'm happily to serve.
I just have one question about Broadway and Empire. Any plans on that?
Broadway and Empire, it's in the.
I know, I'm looking at it. Right.
You're looking at it, yeah. Well, you have to have a developer to come.
Come to do so.
Yeah, they have to have a developer to come and put some, make applications, say they want to put some investment in, and he'll get some returns for his investment. Yeah, oh, we'd be glad. Any property you see, they're in the book, and all those that you see listed are in the brownfield. So if developer wants to come, we're there to give them the help. Put it back on the tax roll. That's what we're here for, to put it back on the tax roll, so that we can have some money, so the city can have some money to do something. And I'm willing to serve. I've been serving, and it's a lot. It's not easy. So when it comes time for trips, and about Bidwell, as she say, we had money. As a matter of fact, we did allocate enough for 5 members to go to Bidwell to get the training.
And I got the dates today.
But you fell out, so I don't know what happened with that. But whatever whatever y'all need to do. Anything else, Johnny?
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm still here working.
Oh, we have one, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Appreciate all y'all.
Is there anybody here from the airport authority?
No,
Or-
no more, there's no more report of this.
Okay.
And I wanna thank, Kim, cause she really worked to get me, cause you know she had to try to find me. And she did a good job to try to get me here, and I appreciate she returned my calls and everything. She's really good.
Is there anybody here from the, Benton Harbor St. Joseph wastewater treatment plant?
No, that will be for next one.
Okay. All right, presentation from Ryan Ogle.
So back to follow. Too often I get to share a seat with Ms. Small and Mr. Yarbrough. I know you guys missed me so much, but it's been a couple times in the last month or so. I thought I'd come back and chat with you quickly. We are still talking with the city manager about a ground lease agreement for portions of Gene Clark Park during our championship inside of hole 7, 8, 9. That has been discussed with his team, and first and foremost,
Go ahead. Commissioner.
first and foremost, I just want to say that City Manager Mitchell and his entire staff have been tremendous to work with, so thank you. Before we open up any questions about the current agreement, I just thought it might be useful to just give you guys a little bit of facts about our championship. There's often a lot of things that are thrown around that some have, they're valid, but I think a lot of times people don't understand the benefit of the championship in our community, in our communities as a whole, in our region. So just a few quick things, and I'll respect the time. For first and foremost, the championship attracts tens of thousands of individuals to our community, and we make it a point to showcase our community and invite them back to visit. It's broadcasted on national, actually global television, showcasing our region, our community, and through that, the exposure that championship brings to 200 million households. It's hard to imagine how much you could actually pay to get that exposure to a global audience. There's been studies that it's equivalent of $8 million in value received for, and that's specifically to the city of Benton Harbor and Harbor Shores. We do not value the impact to the other regions. It's just Benton Harbor and Harbor Shores. We do annual contributions to Benton Harbor youth charity organizations. To date, nearly $1 million has been donated through the PG of America and KitchenAid. In our partnership with this championship, first and foremost, it was the Boys and Girls Club of Benton Harbor helping them build their new facility. Then it was the First Tee of Benton Harbor building a new facility. Additionally, every year, First Tee raises over $10,000 through charitable efforts at the championship through program sales and a flower sale post event. Then we started supporting the Benton Harbor Promise and funding scholarships for graduates of Benton Harbor High School and our area schools. In 2018, we actually created a scholarship that will continue to fund every event that allows a recipient of the Benton Harbor Promise Scholarship who graduates that wants to go to a 4-year degree. We'll give them $25,000 to finish their studies and get a bachelor's degree. That was just started in 2018, one recipient per year through Lake Michigan College. And we already have one recipient that's taking advantage of that now, and another will be named here this year. And then most recently, our donation of $100,000 to the Benton Harbor Area Schools Athletic Department in 2018. We are currently looking right now of where we're going to make our next donation at this year's event. And we will continue to focus on Benton Harbor youth organizations and nonprofits. Also contribution-wise, this year 2019 marked our 5th year. We did a holiday food give back with over 400 families being served or provided food for Christmas. We will continue to do that. We love that experience, not only for giving back, but also the ability to be there and out those items. Most recently, we helped Mr. Clark and his crew with motorized bicycles that'll help not only with the championship, but all year round, correct? So we're excited to continue the great partnership we have with the Public Safety Department. And then it's important, but it's hard to put a value to. We continue to do sponsorships for local nonprofits, provide auction items. We're all about supporting organizations in our community. From an economic impact standpoint, we did 2 studies, one with Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the other with Michigan State University, one in 2016, the other in 2018. And they came back with on average $7 to $8 million impact to our county for the championship. I want to be clear that it was a county study. I don't want to make any false claims that it was Benton Harbor specific, but that's mainly through things like hotel stays, business restaurants being visited, wages on average over 500, nearly 600 temporary jobs are created around the event with wages of roughly $600,000. I have reached out to some of our local or some of our service providers, and they gave me a few examples of those, how they directly impact Benton Harbor. We work with Rover Security, which is a business in Benton Harbor, for some of our security needs. To date, they've had nearly $400,000 in business through our championship with this local Benton Harbor company, and employed over 200 temporary jobs, specifically that one organization. We also have a restaurant, or our concession company, that on average hires 50 to 75 Benton Harbor residents, people with zip code 49022. As well as they give back, they partner with nonprofits to do the concessions. The biggest one that we continue to see come back every year is Genesis Outreach. They've been with us every championship. They've actually traveled to other parts of the nation to do charity. And since then, I can't tell you how much they've raised, but they've been able to buy a new vehicle to help with their outreach efforts, as well as other organizations have partnered with Levy. We have an ecology company that hires roughly 50 local 49022 employees every event with wages of roughly $50,000. Cornerstone Parking, our parking company, roughly 50 every year. I think 2016 it was actually lower, but every other year has been around 50, with wages around $25,000. So we do make it a point that the service providers that do bring in temporary staff, we work with local staffing agencies to staff those and with local community members. And then lastly, from a volunteer perspective, I think the last time I was here, Commissioner Anderson, you mentioned something about volunteering. And I think it's important that everyone is aware that we have 1,500 people that come in and help with this championship, and they go. There's many that go across the nation following these events. It's quite interesting. Over 25 states are represented annually, and even Canadian provinces. But they come to this community, and they come every year. I know one lady that she marks this on her event every year. She comes from I think it's Arkansas. But it really is about creating a week to celebrate what we have here. Yes, there's a golf, right? But there's more than that. And this championship, because it comes back here, this is the only site that we as the PGA of America go back to every other year. It may be 10, 15, 20 years before we go back to a site, if ever. But we're committed to being here. We're committed to being here through at least 2024 every other year. And we're truly appreciative of the partnership we've had to date, and hope that we can continue to grow that and continue to have an impact focused on the youth, but as a city overall. So with that, I don't know, first off, if there are any questions about my little spiel there specifically.
Would you mind taking questions from the audience? If you have a question, please come to podium and ask those questions.
How are you? Good. I didn't get that email back, but Madam Chair.
Talking to Mike.
My question would be, I want to thank you because I heard you mention something that I was not knowledgeable of. And I know when my husband listens to this recording, he's probably going to be a little dismembered. The funds that you all say the funds that you say you spent to build the facility, you spent quite a bit of time over there building the facility. We took a great loss. Yeah. My question is, and I love the fact that anybody loves to give back to charity, but it wasn't charity that you all went to get the okay to do what you do. Why would you not come back to the very ones that are aware of the community's needs? and work with us? See, because that would answer through the chair, the question that I actually asked you in an email. Because that's what it was all about when after the breakfast that we all had, the wonderful breakfast that we had, through the chair, the last, this is a question.
Okay.
And I have to bring it back to his remembrance though, because I was present. I don't know who else was there. But after the breakfast and your presentation, it was wonderful. And when I heard you speaking so elegantly of how you wanted to give back to Benton Harbor and work together with us and everything, I'm like, yes, this thing is going to work. But I keep hearing the cries of the people in the community because I don't see anything working. And I'm one of the ones that catch it because I'm their representative. And that's why you get such questions.
Thank you.
Because I don't see people being people of their words. And then take a loss myself too.
Thank you,
And crabbing
Commissioner.
buckets around this.
Commissioner Seats, you had a question?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Sorry.
Somebody else getting some
Follow.
losses folks take.
My question is a little bit different. I do appreciate some of the stuff, a lot of the things you do in the community. My concern is, and I talked to Jeff Knowles about it also. We give millions of dollars every year, every time the PGA comes to the Boys and Girls Club. Why not somehow, some way, we do something to put the PGA in Benton Harbor area schools, something that will represent PGA. And even if we have a hole where these $1 million golfers will take that money and donate that to Benton Harbor area schools. I understand the scholarships for two, that's good. But Benton Harbor area schools need more than that, than just a scholarship. They need an environment where they can get a quality education. And I would ask if you can just go back to whoever and ask them, are they willing to put on, I mean, I think one year it was like $8 million for paintings that you had in Michigan City or somewhere. It was a fundraiser that they had, where they raised a ton of money for the Boys and Girls Club. But I would actually have a hole or something where we can put something somewhere for Benton Harbor High School. The Golden Tee program is good, but everything I'm seeing is kind of through the chair, and I apologize for looking correctly. Jump on me afterwards. But everything is around the high school, around Benton Harbor area schools. Hopefully in the next 4 years, we can find a way to put something in. It will be lovely to hear that Senior PGA has donated $1 million to renovate something at the school. Even if they put a big golf ball on top of it with Senior PGA and a plaque, it doesn't matter. But if you can give something to Benton Harbor area schools to beautify that, so when the kids see, and I understand the concern of one of the commissioners who just got done, we're better than just a free concert. Even though the concert, people come out and they shake the water and do everything they want to do. But we need something that's lasting and standing. And if you can find a way to put something in Benton Harbor area schools that represents the PGA, I guarantee you there will be not one board member, one staff member that wouldn't mind seeing a bronze ball there that said you guys donated to the Benton Harbor area school education system. I would love to see it. I've been asking this every time the Senior PGA has come. And I did get a commitment from Jeff Knowles one year, but I didn't ever hear anything else about the whole, because I mean, Jack Nicholson, he probably would be ecstatic. Why don't they have that? Why don't they, when they come in town, why don't they do a presentation or something for our youth? Speak to our youth, tell our youth what golf has done for them. You know, everybody's not gonna turn into Tiger Woods, but hopefully we can get something back again into the community. Maybe today it's not just volunteering, but we volunteer at Benton Harbor High School. we find some people that are willing to give back to Benton Harbor High School. Because honestly, I'm not talking, I mean, the carnival comes to town every year. I don't want this to be a carnival. I want this to be something that has a lasting impact. That when me and you are both gone, somebody look up and say, they played a part in that. Thank you so much for the time, Chair. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, if you're coming, I appreciate you guys being here though, seriously. Because you guys can be anywhere in the world. It does help Larkin Sons. Rover's a minority-owned business. And believe it or not, when the CGA PGA comes to town, there's a whole lot of people that are working who were not working before. So I can't spit in their face and say they don't deserve a paycheck. I just deserve one, because you never know, that mother might be trying to buy milk or buy prescriptions or help somebody else, and might help them pay their bills. So it's a good thing. But I want to do something that has sustainability in the high school. And if that's possible, we can probably sit down with the chair. I know our city manager is a outstanding golfer. Maybe we'll name it.
You're telling the truth.
I know he's an outstanding golfer. So maybe we can do something, and I don't care whose name is on, but let's put something there that has some sustainability. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Henry, if you have a question or comment, you can come up to.
Can he answer that though?
Yeah, I'll let him. Did you want them to keep
That was
going,
a
or you want
question.
to ask? You want to?
I'd love to give a response.
Okay.
Again, first and foremost, thank you. I think personally, I don't care whose name's on anything. You look at the Benton Harbor, the donation to the athletic department in 2018, we didn't brand anything, we didn't ask for anything in return, and I think the money is still sitting there waiting to be used, from my understanding. You know, I can't do everything, but I'm trying to do everything I can, and we're trying to do everything we can. The common misconception we see is the PGA of America is separate from the First Tee program, it's separate from the golf course, it's separate from the Whirlpool charity outing that they do, and they raise all those money every year. So I have no influence in that stuff, but influence is the right word. I have no say, but I do have influence a little bit, and I can help, you know, have those conversations about how do we get golf programs in the school. Absolutely. There's just only so much that I'm capable of doing in a small scale. Hopefully over the long term, we see that benefit. I think we've seen that from when we first came here. It was announced in 2010 to where we are now. I think we've come a long way.
Yeah.
I hope we've come a long way. But have we got everywhere we want to be? We could be? No. And we'll continue day by day making sure we do better. I really appreciate the advice or the input on how we can make sure those dollars are directed to a good cause. Are we going to have $1 million donation this year? No. It's probably going to be around $100,000. Where we can spend that, maybe there's a better way we can do it at the school. So I do appreciate that, because I do think that's important.
Through the chair, can you make sure the artist is under 90 years old this year?
Concert's another one thing that's common misconception. It's during our championship. We love it. I have zero to do with it, but it's a great event.
They had to roll Morris Day out there and had to roll it back. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank the PGA. When I first heard that they were coming, I thought, oh no, here comes another problem. But I've seen some good things that has happened, and not much trickled down, but there was some trickle, and we got a chance to see it. I just want to emphasize that when we have people come in to use our park, they should leave it in excellent condition. We shouldn't have to go out and clean the park up and pick up ties. Now that's the worst thing in the world for an environmental person, is to go out there and see all of these little ties that they tie things up with. Because I know that next thing we'll be doing is trying to get them little ties up, because now they're microchips, things that are killing the fish. And so I'm encouraging us to make sure that they are environmental conscious and they pick up their ties and their rugs and whatever else that they put down. Because from 2016 to 2018, there was no conversation. And I doubt if it's been a conversation since 2016 when the first one started. I think it was signed and done and no conversation. So now we're in a conversation mode with people, when we get a chance to ask for what we want or to make some comment, I'm glad to hear there's some conversation. The other night, I was listening to or looking at the newspaper or news something, and they talked about a trolley that the PGA has. And they're gonna be transporting people all through Barron, St. Joe, Benton Township, but they did not say they were gonna stop in Benton Harbor. And I'm like, they did that a couple years before. It didn't work out for us. But we gotta keep trying, but now I have to ask through the chair, if that trolley is gonna stop downtown Benton Harbor, because we have a lot to offer.
It did. I was like, if I can remember last year, it did.
No.
Okay.
I need him, because
Right.
your memory and my memory is not
It
the
did.
same.
I was there.
So through the chair, is the trolley this year gonna stop in Benton Harbor? And for where is it gonna stop? We have a lot of things going on downtown Benton Harbor, and we need to share that wealth.
Absolutely. I think you had sent an email and I appreciate all the questions and I did respond to that. I'm not sure if you've seen that yet.
No, they don't share everything.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by ties. Can I go to that real quick? Just so I can be clear.
They tie up posts and
Zip ties? Okay.
zip ties.
Okay,
There you go.
there's one section we do along the parking lot. I'll make sure that we do a double check. We do try to clean that up as best we can. I appreciate your attention. For trolleys, first and foremost, our main spectator shuttles are picked up at Benton Charter School. We use their parking lot. And that is where we encourage all guests to park and get a ride. So that is in the city of Benton Harbor. We do have, through a community organization or a community committee, they put together a shuttle that picks people up and returns them to downtown St. Joseph, downtown Benton Harbor at Pipestone and Main Street, and then to the course, and it goes to those 3 stops. That's Thursday through Sunday of our championship. There's no other special trolley or anything that is running that week. Furthermore, this year we've supported a water taxi that organizations are putting together that will have a water taxi pickup at the Inner Harbor Shores and at the, I can't remember what it's called, but it's near the courthouse. So people can get and take the waterway and see our waterways. I don't know what response it's going to have. It's new, but there's another opportunity for people to.
It ends at Harbor Shores and begins where?
It's near the courthouse.
Is it opportunity for them to use the $1 million bridge, walking bridge? Can you get from this water taxi to Benton Harbor?
Yes.
Yeah. Straight to the golf course.
Furthermore, you can take, if, there's multiple ways you can do it, yes.
Tell me, so I'll know.
From the water taxi?
Yeah, I need to know how, as me as a resident of Benton Harbor, can use the water taxi.
Okay, I don't see, well, there's a couple options. You could take it from Benton Harbor Shores, which are in Benton Harbor. You could come over to the stop at the courthouse, come up, get on the community shuttle that's stopping in downtown St. Joseph, drive to the stop in the downtown. Or you could stop at the Inner Harbor Shores and take the shuttle that goes through downtown Benton Harbor and stops at the championship, or you can walk from Inner Harbor Shores. Again, this is something I'm interested to see how it plays out. I don't know if the water taxi is going to be that popular. We'll see.
Oh, I'm not,
I think it
I
promotes
think
our area.
anything is, but I want to make sure that Benton Harbor is included in that. Because, I remember back when you guys first came in, you said that PGA was in St. Joe, Michigan. And that was not acceptable, and we said it, but you guys didn't recognize it when you said it. And that's why we want to keep your feet to the fire as to what's going on now.
I
That
appreciate
you
that.
stop in Benton Harbor, that you make some of your stops in Benton Harbor so people can get off and come and see what Benton Harbor has to offer. But it doesn't sound like that we've been included this year very well.
Question with the water tax, is there a charge for the water tax?
No, it's free.
Thank you. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's hard for me to get up.
Would you like me to point the mic?
Yes.
You're fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, okay, now once I get up, okay.
You all right?
I'm fine, thank you.
you.
No, I'm fine. Thank you. Again, everything I hear has been really, really good, and I'm so appreciative that they have chosen this city to have the PGA Tour. As the Mayor Pro Tem said, it's an honor to have it here, and we appreciate you being here. But also, we like gifts. Our community love gifts. Love how you give us a concert, love how you do this thing. But there are people here that need to make some money other than just harm their children or their young people. We have opportunities to vendor, and we don't know through the chair, through the city manager, where to set up, how much it's going to cost, if the cost is out of the price, because there's a lot of money that comes in to Benton Harbor through people that do come. And when I look at the busing that come around Benton Harbor, they have the parks around Benton Harbor. Nothing really comes up to Benton Harbor. It does not seem as if the city of Benton Harbor, Michigan, the residents enjoy the excitement, and it is really exciting, for the PGA Tour to be in our community for a whole 2 weeks, is it? 2 weeks. So maybe we come, oh, it's going to be a concert, it's going to be a concert, but we can't eat that concert. We have to, our clothes to get there, enjoy ourselves, get an opportunity to ride there. So we need some opportunities to have some vendors along through with the city, maybe you can come together where they could have some vendors, wouldn't price them out of the spot where they have to sit, or wouldn't price them, because the first time they came, they was charging them, my hearing failed, it's okay. They was charging them $50 a day, and then you had to go to the health department, you had to go up here to make money. It was just being priced out too much for them to make any money. And so to be part of that, I know money comes in through the people that come here. They have to eat, sleep, and everybody else is making money through the PGA Tour. And I don't know if any's been left here with the citizens or not. And I know you do things for young people, which is good. But they have to go home to them houses. They have to pay lights, water, and gas for them young people here. So that's all I'm saying. Is there any opportunity through the chair, along with the city manager and with the PGA Tour chairman here, to provide some opportunities for the residents to probably make some money through vending or whatever else they have to do. I know there's plenty of jobs that come in, riding the bus, doing the cleanup, doing working over there, but I'm talking about them to make money.
Thank you. Y'all can answer, Ryan.
As far as vendors, I assume you mean food vendors.
Whatever.
So we are limited contractually, legally. We do have a food provider that can service the scale at which we serve our food. So we cannot bring any competitors per our legal agreement with them, which is a national agreement in every event we do. We also do not have, the only other vending you may see is our merchandise shop, which is senior PGA merchandise. The only opportunity that I'm aware of is around the concert that they do on Thursday night. I know they bring in a lot of vendors for that. But as far as our events specifically, just being transparent and honest here, there's not too much. What we try to do is bring people here and then hope that you guys can have the hook, not you guys, but the businesses and everything can have the hook to bring them into their shops. But most importantly, I think it should be remembered that this isn't all about 1 week. This is about bringing people in and hoping they come back. And we can't quantify that. I wish I could. But we continue to try to figure out how we can better impact the community. And I would say that no community gets more focused. I think there was a comment a minute ago, more than Benton Harbor, Michigan. From what we say, where our championship is, what we communicate on our broadcast, where we park people, where we bring them through. They come right through downtown Benton Harbor. They are walking distance between shops and businesses of Benton Harbor. we do focus. But it is something we'll continue to look at, and I really appreciate the thought. And I think the relationship has been strengthened with the city manager. Again, it's been tremendous to work with, and I'm excited that hopefully that'll build moving forward.
Okay, and also, the boards that work here, and the people that work here to help make this, I don't see us getting any tickets. Everybody else gets tickets on the Brownfield board, PJ too, but where is the tickets? We have to pay. I mean, we help with the Brownfield credits, and we should be the first one to give us some tickets.
And a hotel.
Well, whatever, it should be something that they should have respect to give us, because we were part of helping them to get established with the Brownfield, because with Harper Shores. So I had to call over there and ask, where are the tickets? I got a person on my board, he's an advocate. I don't know if the city manager could be any better than my nephew, but somebody say he is, but they'd have to stand to see, and he didn't even get a ticket. So, and he works hard. He works hard. So look at the city members and that's working and helping to see if we can get some advocation, something. Through the chair.
First and foremost, please have your staff reach out to me.
Is it
I'd be
not
happy
a
to. I'd be happy to. I don't have them yet. But I would say that the last few years we have provided, I think through the mayor, a lot of kind of tickets, and I don't know exactly how those were distributed. But that being said, if there are any, requests, you have my contact information.
The clerk knows who we are. She can give us that tickets. The mayor and city manager and all these people might give tickets who they want to have. I'm talking about people that serve.
Yeah.
They've always been given to the city manager.
Okay, well, my apologies, my apologies.
City manager? Okay.
But through the chair,
But
may I ask?
I'll call you.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Go
Appreciate
ahead.
you.
I just through the chair,
Come here.
I guess asking if it'd be okay to continue to provide this to the city manager moving forward.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they get distributed.
Hotel, we'd be all right.
Commissioner, please, if you have something to say, come up to the mic so that it can be.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to give a shout out to the senior PGA. I remember when I served as the executive director at Lighthouse, there were times that I was given an opportunity to pass out flyers for the citizens to get jobs in parking and vending. I don't hold that position anymore. I held a 70 children's camp, and when we no longer were in existence, First Tee contacted me and told the parents to expose the children to the First Tee program. Several of the children did. My daughter was one of those recipients. This is her 4th or 5th year with First Tee. So it has been a blessing for her to have never picked up a club, to even know anything about golf, to now enjoy that along with Glassworks and any of the other things that are in our city that our children need to be exposed to. So I just wanted to give up and give a shout out to that work, because like it has been stated, everybody won't be Tiger Woods, but just the exposure alone, you don't know how far that will take.
So I had a quick question, just kind of going back to some of the things you called out that are benefiting the city. You mentioned something that I like, one recipient gets a scholarship per year. Is that on academics?
Yes. Well, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly the requirements. It's run through LMC and the program there that supports the Benton Harbor Promise recipients that go to school at Lake Michigan College. I think there are some academic requirements, but there's also some extracurricular activity. But the GPA requirement is not a drastic one to meet the basic qualifications.
Okay, so I think that's a great program. Kind of piggybacking on what Mr. Seat said, it would be great if it could be more than one. I don't know what the funding would be like, but
in a city of our size, I think, you know, if we could help more than one student per year, that would be something that would be awesome
Yeah, well,
as well.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, first, the promise, I think we've been able to benefit much more than one.
Okay.
But right now, it's early in the funding of that scholarship for a 4-year degree, and we're hoping that we can grow that to, you know, something that's self-sustainable and that it could have a long-lasting impact. But the amount of monies needed for a recipient requires us only to focus on one at a time.
Okay, and then you mentioned the Harbor Food Give Back, you help 400 families. How do you get that information? Is that through another program that's local? But how are you guys knowing the 400 families in need? I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So this actually started back in 2015 in a partnership with the city and Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency, so SNCAA. They do annual, or actually quite frequently, they do food drives. And so we partnered with them. They identify the families in need. The families apply for the food. And then we support that and also help with the distribution. So it's all through the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency.
Wow. Really?
Okay.
I just have one or two questions. Ryan, Chair, you talked about hole 7 and 8 or something. Could you give me some clarity on that? The hole 7 and 8, or 9 or something? What was that?
What about Pool 789?
Yeah,
The G Park region?
yeah.
I guess I don't know
I
exactly.
thought you had said something about them different holes.
No, I think the reason that I was called to present was that we are, and correct me if I'm wrong, through the chair, to the city manager, that we're hoping that the ground lease can be presented to the commission through this committee. And I was just mentioning that ground lease is for use of the facilities inside 789 and the pavilion at the park.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I'm happy to answer those questions.
And just one more question about the merchandise. Now, the merchandise, will it say Senior PGA at Ben Harbor?
No, it's actually just a logo. So it says Kitchen Senior PGA Championship and Harbor Shores. Those are the Harbor Shores is part of our logo.
No Ben Harbor.
Oh.
But we have to also remember that this course sits on 3 different communities, and we don't put any of those on merchandise.
Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, I want to spit, but I won't. Because from the beginning, it was all about Harbor Shores and Ben Harbor. City manager, you weren't here during that day and time, but you should have asked somebody. You guys don't, that's one of the other problems, you don't talk to the city commission, the city commissioners. You guys talk to the city manager and you talk to the mayor. But that's part of communication that I don't understand why you guys can't all come together and settle things out. Then you have to have a guy like me would come in and have to take my bill off and all of that, when you could just adopt the high school with no strings attached. You wouldn't have to be giving money all over the world. You could just make sure our high school is running the way it's supposed to. You can make sure we don't have to volunteer for a job. You could come up with some jobs for us. And on top of that, you talk about logos and stuff. You could make a definite hat for Ben Harbor with your logo on it saying Ben Harbor, Harbor Shores. So, because a lot of times on TV, Ben Harbor is not mentioned. And from the very beginning of all of this, that was the only thing what was ever supposed to be mentioned was Benton Harbor and Harbor Shores. I'm from the very beginning of all of this, so you can't lie and say that it wasn't like that. we need, our kids could work the jobs. I'll wait till they finish talking up there, because I want everybody to hear what I gotta say. A logo with Benton Harbor and Harbor Shores on hats that our kids can go out there and sell. We gotta make money just like you guys gotta make money. You ought to understand that you're gonna have to make sure that everybody's happy out of this, because it hasn't been a happy medium since it all started, because we started out with people with, lies and deceit.
Mr. Duncan,
Can I say one more thing and then
Yes,
I'm
sir.
out of your way, you can go to dinner?
that's not what, I'm respectful to you, so please.
I
be
can't tell, you
respectful.
just disrespected
Please be
me.
respectful. Also, I'm gonna have to ask you, I'm respectful to you. You're
I
gonna
want
respect
you
this
to, I want
chamber.
you to stop so I can finish saying what I gotta say.
Please go ahead. I'm allowing that.
Well, I wasn't trying to start nothing in here, but it's things like this will keep
Please,
stuff
please,
going.
please ask the question, sir.
Adopt Benton Harbor High School. That's one of the things I would like to, you threw me off. You know that, right?
No, thank you.
The hats, the design for some hats that our kids can sell and make money. We have to have something that we're making money off of our wonderful program. We all think it's a wonderful program. But if our kids not making wonderful money off of it, then only your kids is prospering from it all. So it's time to change that narrative and do the right thing. You said you're our neighbor, our friend. Be that. Don't just be about you and your family, because our kids, and not only just our kids, our 16 to 50s and all of that need things to do, and they could sell things with you guys' logo on it. What is it, a logo? We have to succeed in what we need to succeed in too. If you guys got a problem with what I'm saying, you can say it to me now. Say you don't want it like that, or just don't answer. But when it comes to citizens, our citizens don't come in here asking a lot of questions, but they are in need. And if you know it, if you know better, you're supposed to do better. That's what my grandmother told me.
Yours too.
I don't know exactly.
You have another question?
I just got a comment. My heart is heavy. PGA at Harbor Shores. Is there a Harbor Shores, Michigan? Is there? Where is Harbor Shores at? Is it in St. Joe or is it in Benton Harbor?
Does this have to do with the logo?
This has to do with the branding or the misbranding of Benton Harbor. How can you have a PGA that's in Benton Harbor in our prestigious park? Couldn't be a great park, a great nothing if it wasn't for our dunes. And then you don't say Benton Harbor nowhere on your advertisement, nowhere. Now you tell me if that's something cool, but that just makes my heart hurt right now. And you can, and I might be wrong, but I did do an email, and I didn't get a response to my email, but I'm understanding that he read it. So, I want to say it out in public. The boardwalk should be off limits for all motor vehicles. It's just costing us a lot of money. So that's another issue. And I noticed that the fee or the schedule came up quite a bit. I'm not sure where that came from or who calculated it, but it's quite a bit different. And I would like to see, I know that money's going straight into the general fund, but I'd like to see some of that money go back to Jean Clark Park, because that's where our money should be reinvested in. And yes, you can straighten me out.
Just a minute before you,
So this will be my first year in the city with, so I'm excited to attend. But one thing I'm not understanding, and maybe you guys can clear up for me. So I'm hearing at the meeting that this is in Benton Harbor, St. Joe, and Benton Township. Is that not correct? Because this is totally confusing me. Then I get people only talking about Benton Harbor. So is it in 3 communities or is it in Benton Harbor?
It's in Benton Harbor.
Commissioner Adams, please wait till, then he'll respond. Just,
Okay.
thank you.
I figured I'd help out since I helped put it together with facts.
Yeah, so the golf course sits on 3 different municipalities or townships or cities. So we work with all 3.
Okay, so when you read off, when you first began to speak and you talked about all the benefits for Benton Harbor, so then you have a list of benefits for St. Joe in the township?
I mean, other than the exposure and the temporary jobs, I'm sure we could go and figure out how many come from the other organizations. But all of our contributions go to Benton Harbor City. The only city that's mentioned in our TV broadcast, which is mentioned prevalently multiple times, is Benton Harbor, Michigan. It is said it's here at Benton Harbor, Michigan. It's not our logo because our custom is to have our logo with the golf course. So if you look at any other event we do, it's the logo and the golf course. We don't put the city name. But on TV, we could, in theory, put 3 different communities. We put Benton Harbor, Michigan. I don't get offended easily, but when I'm told that we don't do something that we do, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to just quickly say, and not to dispel what my colleague just stated, but you know, as a Brownfield Authority board member, when we okayed this $500 million development, it was Benton Harbor. But it was Benton Harbor working with a couple of other municipalities, but it was about Benton Harbor. And it was basically just like the Arts District. Do you say Benton Harbor Arts District? It's a district within Benton Harbor. That's what Harbor Shores is. An overall development within the city of Benton Harbor. Am I right, through the chair? That's basically what it is. But we have to remember, I remember as an elected official in the state of emergency management that we actually opted out of a question that came to us for national exposure, media, and we opted out. So if, I'm not mad if they don't mention Benton Harbor or whatever, just allow us to make some money, stop the buses through here. I mean, just let the people come in and view what little, view we do have going on in our community until we grow and get better.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any more questions. I think City Manager will get back with you because we submitted our recommendations. Let's see, as further input. And I'll just briefly say, before we go to the next item, because we need to move one of those items up, is that last year, each year I've gone out at different points. And last year I got a chance to go out on the golf course and just some of the things I saw that time that I didn't see in times past. But the thing that I think that made me the saddest was that there was not a lot of people from Benton Harbor. And again, it was because people don't always see why they should go out and see what's happening there, or they don't think they are supposed to be there or belong. But I would implore our residents to please get out and see what's happening It is a beautiful event, and he's correct. I was sitting in a location where I heard them talk about Benton Harbor. I seen our residents, people that I knew working in those vending areas. I talked to some of them, young mothers and young people, and not even just young. They were of different ages, and it was just a beautiful experience. I saw the trolley going through the downtown and people jumping on and jumping off at those different stops. And it was a lovely event. And what I would say to people in Benton Harbor, we offer vending license downtown. And so you can actually go park a truck, set up something, pay that small fee. And if the commission is willing to, we probably could even lower those so that people could in our downtown area make money if they're following all those rules. But we can't stop the health department piece because there are certain inspections that they have to do if you're selling food. But to say to these people, y'all ought to give us a spot on our on their thing. And I know they have contracts. I understand that some things that they can't do with that, but there are opportunities that week for people who want those opportunities. We have a whole downtown. Those trolleys go downtown. In fact, there is a parking lot in Benton Harbor Charter's parking lot where their buses, where people park there. So people are in Benton Harbor, and all people of Benton Harbor has to do is take advantage of those locations and putting up stuff. And I would say do that. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I'd like to say to people here, to anybody that's listening, no, I wasn't here last time. I wasn't here in the beginning. And I want to say also, Ryan was not either. But he spent time with me and our golf team. And we've talked to him about we being they who know. I've talked to him about things in the past. He sat down, he's listening. He took this information back, and he's come back with a product that we support. Also, he's come here tonight, and he's put it all on the table for you. I don't know if you've heard it before or not, but he put it on the table for you tonight to know exactly what the PGA is doing. He's giving you a chance to talk to him, to ask him questions. So he is to be applauded as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, one last question, because we have to move on.
Yes, one comment, Madam Clerk. I applaud you for coming too. And,
I am grateful.
My question is, how much will go into the city coffers for the use of Jen Clark Park for 2 weeks?
And that's what we're working on, and that's why I was here to present. So we do have a number
There's
that
a
we're working
number.
with. Yes,
There's
there's
a
a
number.
number.
That's the number I'm trying to get right now. That's why I came back.
Can we hold that number until it goes to the commission?
It goes to us to
From
vote.
goes from the committee to the commission.
But it's already been approved already?
No, it
No,
has
it
not.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
The next item, there were a couple things that so we need to move up item number 8 so that Mr. Clark could address that issue. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
So I'm speaking for the director tonight. We brought some information that the director said he'd provide. I got a couple copies if you guys want to look at this. The top of this is Article 8, the amendment section towards nightclubs. This ordinance was drafted in 2014 and approved by the commission in 2014. For those that were on the commission at the time, the genesis to making some of the changes to this ordinance was the events that occurred at the Jump Off, not After Hours Club that used to be down off Wakanda. Yeah. So one of the major changes was Section 873, hours of operation. shall be regulated by Chapter 8, Article 1, Section 835 of the Code of Ordinances. No nightclub shall operate past the hour of 2 a.m., and all members of the public must totally be vacated from the premises no later than 2:30 a.m. One of the changes, if you go back to the front, Section 863 definitions, nightclub is determined by this ordinance as any establishment, including but not limited to lounges, bars, dance halls, community centers, recreation centers, convention centers, multi-purpose centers, private clubs, or any other establishment that allows for the assembly of the public and or provides entertainment activities through any of, but not limited to, music and dancing. So that was the change that was made in 2014. With this, the director pointed out some other things that were in here, but the biggest thing was in a meeting previous, there was some talk as to we'll make it private or we'll do. There was basically to the director what seemed to be a threat that we were just going to have some lawlessness and do whatever we wanted. So the one thing that the director wanted to point out was the reason this ordinance changed and after hours clubs were eliminated was the incidents that had occurred at the after hours clubs. The primary genesis for these changes in 2014 was the jump off. There were several shootings down there and one that resulted in the death of a young man, which was actually a family dispute. And it was a very unfortunate incident. The last couple pages are several complaints that we have had over the years, both at after hours clubs and at the nightclubs that we've had in the city. To most recently, there was a shooting at Smokes Lounge where the person who was shot in the knee did not want to cooperate with the investigation. I'm up for questions or any discussion at this point if we want to move forward, but I just wanted to relay what the director wanted to impart. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight because he had a previous event.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Tonight, I'm trying to figure out kind of what's going on. Is this to amend the resolution tonight? Is that what we're talking about?
This gentleman was asking about the ordinance, and so that's not my specialty, but as a legislative body, when a citizen asks about something, it's my job to get the information and present it as to why we can or cannot do something, and not to keep them in the dark about why we can't. My goal here was to be transparent about why we don't have an ordinance past 2:30.
Thank you. Through the chair to the deputy director. I'm looking at this document, got 11 count on that. Could you speak to that? Why is that pursuant to us?
So this right here, the person, Mr. Walker, who wants to open the club, or I believe he's managing Smokey's Lounge now, and wanted to open an after hours there. The thing that the director wanted to point out was at the last after hours club, these were all the events and issues that Benton Township had responded to there. So the Club Unity and Rockstars 2, everything at 1800 Pipestone, that was incidents that Benton Township handled. The second page, or not the second page, I'm sorry, the latter part of this is all of our complaints that have either been at 325 Riverview, which was called the Last Chance Dance Hall that was opened in 2010 era, that time frame, as well as recent calls, or the last, it looks like the director ran about the last 10 years at Smokes Lounge as well.
Through the chair. Some of these, and I have to please, I don't think I know what's 1096. So, but when you have, what is a UDAA?
Unauthorized driving away of an automobile, stealing of a car,
What is PDA?
property damage accident, crash,
What is PIA?
personal injury accident,
What is A and B?
assault and battery,
PDA?
property damage accident,
And gunshots, I'm seeing a lot of. So you're saying that there's been gunshots up there? Somebody got shot?
I mean, you know, we can dig into the history of smokes if you want. There have been several shootings to include homicides there.
So is it the chief's stance that we should do it, or your stance we should do it, or is your stance that we should not?
The stance that the director of public safety, and I'm gonna support him on this matter as is coming from the public safety department, is that we do not change this ordinance, that we leave the ordinance as is.
Through the chair, I think our attorney is here. If we change the ordinance, does that open up the floodgate for everybody?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first I've seen this change. Well, 873, is this the current?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think there are liquor law the liquor commission actually has some part in hours of operation as well, but I mean, hours of operation, it seems like will apply to every one of the nightclubs, bars, whatever you want. So we open the floodgates as to,
Well, I mean,
as to what?
through the chair, the question becomes, if we say to 1, that they can stay open until 4 o'clock in the morning, does not that leave leeway for all the other clubs or bars?
Once we change the ordinance, it'll apply to anybody who has a nightclub
Yeah.
or any
So
establishment
why-
that is a night.
My question is, if we're gonna say do it, why are we gonna stop at 4? I mean, why don't we say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Hey,
10? And the reason I say that is, and it's not being facetious, when they opened up the club over on Pipestone, they did not talk to the residents in that area. AJ's, thank you. And you had an elderly gentleman in his 90s that the music was blaring so loud that they could not sleep at night because of the poor insulation, the whites, who soon therefore has deceased. My question also through the chair becomes, does that, because I know the ordinance that they changed, and that was part of that when they changed that ordinance, when it was downtown, jump on. Does that security part, then also does that add a burden on public safety by us leaving all the nightclub? Because we can't just say for one, we have to say for all. Does that add a burden to the police force that we have in place to do this? My last statement, I'm gonna be quiet. What is MDP?
malicious destruction of property,
What is VCSA?
violation of Controlled Substance Act.
can we get a list of those?
Commissioner Evans, please. Could you speak to Commissioner his question about the burden on public safety?
So currently, according to this ordinance, nightclubs have several, the current bars and establishments have several rules that they have to follow. First and foremost, Liquor Control Commission is the state regulating authority. And then this ordinance as well. The nightclub, again, there's specificity towards parking structure, how many parking spots they have to have for how many people. This ordinance speaks to how much security they should have, when they should be picking up their parking lots, when they need to be cleaning up. So I mean, if we get into the ordinance as a whole, there's quite a bit there. One of the other ones is occupancy levels. Every nightclub that operates, whether it's AJ's, Smokes, what used to be Le Chic's, you know, wherever it is, there should be somebody at the door counting the number of people in, out, and so on. You know, there has to be a posted occupancy load certificate. If the fire marshal comes and it's over that, it gets shut down. One of the things that could happen is if there's no counting at the door, the fire marshal could order everybody to leave the building and then count them as they're coming out, and then make the determination as to whether or not he wants to allow the establishment to continue to run for the night or not. There hasn't been a crackdown to that level on these establishments yet. You know, our fire marshal is still getting his inspections done on some of the daytime businesses. He hasn't gotten to that point yet. But this ordinance, rather robust, it speaks to all of that. Because the other thing to remember is this ordinance has a separate license that has to be paid to the city. And the other thing is, if you're going to have an after-hours establishment, you cannot have any alcohol available for sale at all, per the state liquor control laws. So everything that would be in the nightclub previous to 2 a.m. has to now be put away. Cannot even be out and visit. So
that's the law. As long as it's not visible. That's the law. That's Michigan state law. As long as it's not visible. As long as it's not visible to the public, it has to be stored away, not visible. Don't say it can't be there. Don't say you can't have a license on that specific property, because it's not true. What's true is it cannot be visible to your occupants. Also, everybody, we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty, because a lot of stuff you're saying is wrong. Also, when you go to private dances itself, go back into your own paperwork. Go back to your own paperwork. It said private parties are exempt. Your members and your member can bring one guest, which here's my membership log, and I got about 1,000 keychains made to give out to my members. So hold up, I'll show you too.
I don't know.
Have a seat, Mr.
No. What I'm saying is they said what he running is saying about, and here's the keychains that's going to be that my members going to have. You're trying to say that you can't privatize. You can privatize something, anything that you want, and it's right here in this ordinance. I can read it to you if you want.
I read the definitions. I mean, I'm not going to debate it with you, sir.
Please address any questions that you have.
Okay, it's a private dance. Shall mean any dance given at any home or held by a bona fide club, admission to which is granted to members and their invited guests only, from which the general public is excluded. That means there's absolutely no say-so they have. It's in black and white in this same thing.
But there are still some stipulations, as he talked about occupancy rates. Even if it's a private establishment, there are still occupancy laws.
No, there's not.
So yes, there is, sir.
So you can tell me how many people I can have in my house.
So
this is what this.
So based on, so hold on for a second. I understand what you're saying. So based on that facility and that structure, once it was inspected, the inspector will tell you, we approve you to have 150, we approve you to have 50 people. If you have over that amount, then that is breaking that law, and you could be fined for having occupancy that's more than, because like he's straight to structural, the structural issues, which means parking and everything else that goes along with that, and it cannot be a public nuisance. So once it became a public nuisance, then that's where we get involved in terms of the city. So you don't have autonomy to do what you want to do.
No, I'm not saying I'm never talking. What I'm saying is you don't have the say so of how many people that I can have in a private.
We do.
You can't tell me how many people I can have in my house.
Hold on, Mr. Go ahead.
You could tell them how many people you had at the church.
Not in my home.
Excuse me?
You could tell them how many people you have. The fire marshal has the ability to tell them.
That's what we're saying.
Okay. The building I have an occupancy load. So we can go to the next thing. Now, the other thing when he talking about security, if you've done your job, which is in this paperwork, every single place that's in the city of Benton Harbor supposed to have at least one licensed security guard that's pre-approved through them. Oh, my bad. Let me say it correctly. One licensed security guard per every 75 person.
Commissioner, do you have a question?
We seem to have an attorney here. I'm not one. and I only see one in the room. And I'm hoping that he has done his work or going to get an answer back. But I've read some of this in times past, and I know laws change all the time, which is why an attorney needs to look at our rules and ordinance and charter to see if in fact it lines up. But if there are other laws that a owner of a business has, as long as they correspond with the Michigan compiled laws as well as local laws. I think there's a reason that there's a call for last alcohol right before 2:00. And I think that when the young man mentioned something about, as long as something is not visibly to be seen, we need to do our homework and know what we're talking about instead of just talking.
100% agree with you, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Seats.
Thank you.
100% agree.
If you go to Michigan Department of License and Regulatory Affairs, you'll see the Liquor Control Commission talks about the requirement of general information, even with private. License and permit fees and goes on, and it talks about even what we're talking about tonight. My biggest concern becomes this: we did the jump off. We sat there, we argued the jump off portion. I know those issues are dead. But I want to kind of dig in on this real quick. What happened? Is the club still open in the township?
No.
The club is not open in the township?
No.
So was the club open till 4 in the township?
Yes.
So what became the problem there?
They don't want nothing at that mall. They want absolutely nothing at that mall. Dr. Flood went out there to get something. They told him no. They won't give nobody no. You can't go to their city hall and say, well, I wanna pull some permits because I wanna do something. They're not letting nobody do nothing out there. They're shutting that down.
So my because I had this as a question as well. Did the township did you ask the township about this same type of thing being open past 2:30 a.m.? Because
I was out there for a year and a half open.
I'm saying past 2:30 a.m.
Yes.
And so you had permission
Yes.
as a
The old chief didn't have a problem with it.
So what
When
happened?
the new chief came in,
Mhm.
he had a problem with it
But why?
because it was against the ordinance.
But I'm saying. So if it was against the ordinance, the old chief broke a rule and allowed you to stay open.
For a year and a half.
So if there was it was not because of any issues that you were having at the mall. Because there's nothing at that mall.
There's absolutely nothing out there. For the only thing you could
So
have
why
was a
would they
fight.
say no when that's income being generated for them? So why would
It's
the
income
mall
for who?
for the mall?
No, it wasn't the mall that said it. It was the new chief of
But I'm
police.
saying why would they say no?
He's not allowing nothing out there. Within 90 days, that mall will be shut down. They went through there with ordinance officers and they just said, you know what, we don't need 3 hours. We're done. We're leaving. They're shutting that down. They want their property back, is what they want.
Commissioner Henry.
Oh, yeah, okay, I have to go back to where we are as a city. Benton Harbor has between 18 and 35 is the biggest population. And I ask my people my age, where do your kids go? Because there's nowhere to go here. Benton Harbor residents have shut down IHOP after 2:00 in the morning. They can't have IHOP, the Steak and Shake, all of those facilities that stay open after 2:00. Our people were out there spending money and doing what they do best, drama. Now, how do we solve that? We have house parties, be so full, I don't know how to even dance.
So why y'all ain't on the house parties? Explain that.
Now you,
That is
wait
the
a minute, wait a minute,
That is the same
sir,
sentence that
sir,
you said.
sir, wait just a minute.
They are.
Let me finish. Don't interrupt me, because I get it from them all the time, so don't you do it.
Okay.
So that sets up me that there's a serious problem. that we need to address. Now, I don't know if we all know that we had places to go when we were teenagers. There were parties at the schools. There was the post let us come in at after hours. I mean, for our time, there was places that we actually had opportunity to go, and we also had an after hours when the skating ring closed. They had night gallery, and everybody went. Now, of course, now we are a different generation than these other people right now, our grands and great grands. But I guarantee you, we fought. You get in a fight at the after hours, you get put out and you do not come back in. Nobody wanted that. You got to fight at the skating ring, you got put out and you didn't come back. Nobody wanted that. So all of that bickering and feeling bad about ourselves, whatever we were going through, they cut it out by putting some strict rules for us. And so I think there's a problem.
Forgive me, I'm
that we need to.
Look, put that on the books.
I know we got a problem.
Too doggone good.
We got a problem, and we now to find some way to solve the problem. I don't know if this is it, but there is a problem because of nowhere to go. And all our shoots are domestic, most of them. They're either about drugs or being domestic. So we have problems that we have to fix.
Yeah. This is one quick thing I want to say. I don't come in here to make threats. When I come in here to state what I'm gonna state, that means I'm ready for any decision that you're gonna make behind that. I'm 100% man and I'm 100% smart. Whatever gonna happen to me, bring it to me. I'm not afraid of anyone that walks the face of this earth. And everybody in this city knows that. I'm not saying I'm untouchable. What I'm saying is I'm ready for my consequences whenever they do decide to.
And as you know, this body is a recommending body, so it'll go to the entire commission.
I understand that. You know, then when they touched on that, you guys, when it touched on that, you guys put this ethos in 2014. That is not true. That is not true because he sit right there and said something about closing the last chance down in 2010. Oh, the last chance was mine also. So that means that ordinance pre-existed back in 2010. That means it was before that y'all retouched on it in 2014. That means it was already there. It's been there. And you understand, I'll go buy a house and take everything out of it and throw a house party just to prove a point. I'm just saying, they want to make it more about me versus about the city. They want to make it more about White Boy Rob instead of Benton Harbor City. Because all the shootings, including last week on Maple and the week before that on Maple at these house parties, they're not doing nothing about it. They haven't went and shut one down. They wouldn't have done nothing. What they do is when they're shooting, they'll ride through there. They don't even get out. They'll ride through there in their police cars. Everybody just scatter like roaches, and then go back to doing what they was doing.
Did you hear about that?
That's what's going on. That's what's going on. They'll ride through there so everybody run and go home, and then they happy. They got everybody off the streets. But the shooting done occurred. This time, last week, it just so happened the guy shot in the air versus shooting into the crowd. I didn't hear him bring that up while he over there bringing up other stuff. But I'm cool with what has went on with me because I can accept that. I can accept my shortcomings as well as my achievements. I'm here to tell them that at some point The city has to change this ordinance, because if you don't, the same thing's gonna keep on happening in our streets. And it's not, it's innocent people getting shot now.
So what I would say, Rob, is, like Commissioner Henry, there is an issue with, recreation for youth, and a lot of the youth today, as she stated, is different. And so we need to figure that out. As she stated, a lot of kids would go out to, the 24-hour places, but they weren't bars, they were restaurants. So even looking at changing from, okay, let's do something that'll stay open 24, like a restaurant where I'm serving food and people just kicking it. It don't have to be a bar. So even changing our mentality, because at the end of the day, we're not against you. You're trying to bring recreation to the community. We understand that. And so, I'm saying this because I want you to change your mind frame from us against you and them against you, because that's not our goal. Our goal is ultimately, even if you feel that way, at the end of the day, we make decisions that for the betterment of our city. And AJ's was not probably one of the better decisions for that bar in that neighborhood. And I understand you're not, but what I'm saying is, let's think outside the box. Okay, bars ain't a great idea, especially if we're trying to draw that crowd from 18 to 25 or 18 to 35. Let's see what else we can do besides provide a place for them to drink alcohol, get high, and that kind of thing. Let's look at doing a food thing and invite people. Let's come up with a plan that we can do for the summer for our youth that involves something else besides that. And that's what I'm saying. Let us do that. And let us do that. And I want to be a part of that. But let's think of it a little larger than I'm going to do this and I'm going to break the law and I'm going to do this because I can do this. Because at the end of the day, our job is to protect our community and our residents from anything that'll cause them harm. And I hear you. We need something for our youth and we need to solve this. But let's look at another way to do that. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. She has a question. She has a question.
I didn't know that this was on until I got here, but I'm gonna say this, I'm not against, I mean, I used to go out. I don't now, but I'm not stopping anybody, but I will say this. If this is, if it's redone, whatever needs to be done, I will ask, personally from me and my experience being on the corner of Agard and Whale, down from AJ's or whatever the name of it was, I would ask that it's also put in there that they do have extra security. Because I'm one of those that at 2 o'clock in the morning, when we get up to go to church Sunday, we still up because of music. I'm one of those that when the police did come down and everybody scattered, a gun was thrown in my yard, not on the tree lawn, but in my yard, wrapped up in a plastic bag. Some cocaine was thrown in my tree lawn, which that's not mine, that belonged to the city, but that gun was in my yard. And this came from someone running, so I do ask that extra security. And like he's mentioned, when the police came, they didn't ask anybody. They came knocking on my door, even though I was in a dead sleep, trying to sleep, knocking on my door because it was found in my yard. We have to be mindful of the people that are around these places, and I just ask that they do have extra security. Speaking of our youth, I'm hoping my child wouldn't be at his club anyway. It's me as a parent that's responsible for making sure that my children, they said we don't have a lot to do in Benton Harbor. My kids are grown. We didn't have a lot to do. They're in their 20s and 30s. We didn't have a lot to do back then. It wasn't a lot to do when I was a kid. But as a parent, I made sure that my kids had something to do, whether it was here or I took them someplace or we were at home. So I don't think that's the city's responsibility I may say it wrong and I don't mean any harm by it, but as a parent, that's my responsibility to make sure that things are going on for my kids. But all I ask as far as this is there is, I don't know, security or the police actually, I don't want to say do their job, but do their job, because all they did was roll down the street and everybody got in their cars and left. And then they so the police should do their job too. And it's not just to scare the people and make them run, and then they come back in an hour and they're right back. It was a mess over there. And the complaints that we made, I called the police. We didn't see a police. I would stand outside and call the police. They were in my yard, parked in my yard, not on the side of the house, in my grass. Police never came because there wasn't enough, I guess, you know. But all I'm asking is that if anything is changed, just if they would make sure, you know, that security, whether it's police or whatever, you know, maintain, because it gets that AJ's getting ridiculous. So, and I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
So the gentleman mentioned a part in the ordinance that I cannot locate. You mentioned something about private parties. So if that is a part of the ordinance, what I have to say is, why are we discussing it? I guess I feel like if we're gonna follow the ordinance and you're saying that that's in here, maybe someone can point it out to me, maybe the attorney can, so I can follow along with that piece. But if that's in here and we're saying that the state of Michigan liquor is clearly telling us to make the liquor not visible, and you're saying the liquor is not going to be visible, I guess me being just the person that's following logic here, why would we be discussing it? So maybe someone can show me or tell me what where to turn to in the ordinance.
Chapter 8, amusements, bottom, second paragraph from the bottom, public dance halls.
Commissioner C, you were next, and then I'll come back.
Thank you, I mean, this is, I think y'all will be here all night.
No.
I mean, at A, it says nightclub establishment, but not limited to lounges, bars, dance halls, community centers, recreation centers, multi-purpose centers, private clubs, or any other establishment that allows for the assembly of the public and or provides entertainment activities with any of, but not limited to music and dancing. My question also is not just added security, but the residents of that area who have went through smoking's age, and not your fault, but we can't say smoking's been a daycare center either. There's been a lot of people who've been, I mean, this list, I don't know if they provide you a copy, but this list is kind of like ridiculous on everything that has happened from year to year, and smoking's all the way up until this year. And this is like a 9-page, 10-page document all the way up to this day, which is March 1st, 2020. You didn't have that.
March 1st, 2020?
March 1st, 2020?
Yes, that's a couple days ago. What happened then?
It says gunshots.
No.
At 250 North Fair, Benton Harbor, Smokes Lounge, Benton Harbor. That was 3/1/2020, the incident, and one report numbers incident.
Hold on. March, what's that again?
March 1st, 2020. There was a call for gunshots.
3 days ago.
So on a what day was that? What's the day?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
So on a Sunday morning?
Or Saturday morning, Saturday night going to Sunday morning.
That's a lie.
Could you?
I don't care what he say. Let me tell you how I know. That was my birthday weekend. I had people from Detroit, from Wisconsin, all grown people was up there. That was my birthday.
So that's when you gave away the car?
That's when I gave away a car to the city.
They didn't shoot nothing off of you?
None of that. None of that happened up there. None of that happened up there.
But there has to be.
None of that happened. That was my birthday. I know because some shots fired on my birthday.
Yeah, I understand, but there has to be if they got an incident report number, there got to be a call and everything that's attached to that.
Come on.
I'm not, I mean, then it says, did you have it on 118?
Come on. I had what?
Did you have it on 118? I'm just asking a question, man.
No.
Because 118, 2020, there's another instance.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, right here, if you get this document and it's.
I'm cool. They can listen, man. They can pile up whatever.
But what I would ask, and that's up to the council and the city manager, I would just hope that you would, because if you open up that floodgate where everybody gonna do what they want to do, it's gonna become chaos.
That's why when I initially came in here to speak with y'all, I asked for a special use permit. Special use permit will only allow one event Whatever that date is on that event is just that event. It's not for every week. It's not for every month. It's for that one event. So therefore, the floodgates couldn't open for the rest of the clubs in the city.
Yeah. But my last question, and this is due to co-chair, the vice chair, and I hear what you're saying. But it seemed like we try to punk the city, but we ain't punk the township. The township, when they said what they had to say, we decided to come to the city, and now we're gonna make a move on the city. I would ask if you're gonna buy a house and clean it out, let's buy two, and let's put one in the township, and let's put one in Benton Harbor, and do it in both areas, and not just in Benton Harbor. Because, you know, I mean, I hear we saying we need something for the youth, and I appreciate you, you're a businessman. You're a businessman, everybody trying to make money. And if we can somehow, with the city manager, with public safety, like we did before, sit down, talk, try to come up with a rational agreement. Because I'm gonna tell you this too, people put you out there on a limb and say they can do something, and they'll saw it off on you. And they'll tuck their tail and run and hide and take the $5.50 game. So let's try to do it the right way, if possible, and come to some meeting of the minds and see if we can somehow rectify or even try to change the image of Smokies.
You know, in doing that, I've remodeled the whole inside of it. Everything is repainted, everything is freshly did. So what I'm gonna say is this right here. The city has an attorney. I would advise you guys to speak with your attorney, have him do the background on private entities. Do his homework on that. That's the part that I'm gonna tell him to do. Go do your work on the private entities that holds an occupancy load within it already. It's already there. The fire department done came and said, okay, this is how many people you can have in this room. Okay, this is how many people you can have in this room. That's already did. That's grandfathered in forever until you tear the building down, because she's not gonna sell it. So that's automatically grandfathered in as long as she's the owner of that property. Have him go figure out the Privacy Act.
So according to, go ahead.
So when I spoke a few minutes ago, I had not saw this part in the in the current ordinance, but if you look under Part A, they are grouping private clubs under nightclub. So they're grouping it. So that's what I was, kind of saying. I was saying that I didn't see where there was a section for private clubs, but it is grouped under nightclub. So in theory, because it's grouped under nightclub, it does not protect what you're saying.
You only have to have an occupancy level. The other stuff, how could you, if you have an occupancy level to bring people within your private space that's not open to the public.
The city has an ordinance against it, and so regardless of
not on.
There's a conflict here.
It definitely is, because if they honestly have an ordinance on private places and events, why the hell is these house parties going on every week?
They're not supposed to be.
You say it again. Say it one more time. If you're gonna come to me with this crap, pass it around.
No one is asking.
Pass it around.
You're asking us to extend our hours to 2:30.
I'm gonna ask you to change it. You know why? Because what they
To 4,
understand.
sorry, from
So
2:30 to
this
4.
is what everybody else
That's
don't
what your
understand.
ask was.
Okay, this is what everybody don't understand about changing the hours. It won't be another nightclub in this area that will stay open to 4 a.m.
There isn't now.
Let me tell you why. Because everybody want to sell that liquor. Everybody is more on selling the liquor, so they close at 2. Then it has never been a problem, because they can no longer sell alcohol at the 2, so they don't want to be open. Because after you pay at the door, they don't make no money. Only way they make any money is by selling alcohol. If you telling me that I can't sell any alcohol after 2, that means I can't make no more. I can't make money after 2.
So you say you sell alcohol?
No alcohol. But that's why everybody shuts down. That's why there has been nobody
waiting
saying.
to ask a question. Go ahead.
Well,
we need to move on
I think
because
it's
we
more
have
of
a
a
whole
comment.
list of other things.
I think it's more
So
of
this
a-
is just discussion.
Madam Chair.
And the reason why I brought it is because it was brought to several other commissioners, and so that's why it ended up being in this particular meeting.
Correct.
So, go ahead.
I think this is more of a comment than it is a question, because we have, like it has been stated, more people who are outside of the venue causing havoc and doing what they want to do in their cars that they are grown enough to do, which draws the crowd. I mean, I wasn't as close to AJ's, but I'm on Pipestone, so I get all of the loud noise. And I don't know how people are not deaf in our city, because you got the volume up so tough that my house is rocking from the craziness that ensues. We have called police officers, they'll be in the cut for a hot second, but I'm telling you, it's a drag race at 2 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. And I hear people shooting, and AJ's is not even open. So these young kids are gonna do something. If they don't have anything to do, they're gonna create a party wherever they are. These abandoned parking lots, these abandoned buildings, they're gonna find a place. And it is just so unsafe. We've had major accidents on Pipestone with dragging, and nothing is being done. So I mean, I applaud him for wanting to do something, but it's out of control.
One last thing, because I know Mr. Clark has to leave, and we have like several other items. My question in regards to house parties, could you speak to those, please?
So I'm gonna touch on just a couple quick things on this. This ordinance was put in 2014, and the changes were specifically made in 2014 to talk about the after hours club. When you talk about security, there is a security requirement, 1 security guard inside for every 75 people. There's also a requirement for 2 security outside. The club owner is actually responsible for the people in their parking lot. Okay, not the police department, the club owner.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I will speak to the house party. I know for a fact we have cease and desist letters going out to several addresses because we found that the tenants are having parties. There's one house that we are looking to actually seize under the city's nuisance ordinance. So there is some enforcement going on. It may not be visible right at the minute. Obviously, we can't be everywhere at once, and we try. And the last thing I'm going to say is, again, this ordinance was put in place by the commission in 2014. If the commission so deems to change it, the public safety department will support whatever the commission puts in place. All we're saying is this is what the ordinance says right now. So whether it's the private club at the Elks or Babe's Lounge or Smokies or AJ's or River's Edge, they all have the same rules.
Make sure your attorney define those rules.
So we need to move on to the next item, Commissioner.
Can we?
I think if you want to have.
He's gonna be
not.
He's gonna be wrong. He's doing this 15 years, man.
We were just having a discussion. We need to move on.
Can the attorney give us a report?
This was just a discussion.
Can the attorney give us a report on that? We'll pay you.
Well, before tonight, I didn't know this was even on the agenda. I've never had the opportunity to review this before, but I think the city has the right to make an ordinance as it relates to after party or after, any establishment, whether it's a private club or a public club, where you have people coming and congregating. It's a public safety issue. Where you're going to invite people, there are going to be crowds, and there are going to be nothing. My parents always told me nothing good happens after midnight. I mean, but
I got 2 kids.
One order, guys.
I got 13. But I made all of them after midnight.
I mean, the reason the city puts this ordinance in effect was to control this, the streets after 2 o'clock, and when you have it's a public safety issue.
Madam Chair, I remember very clearly when all of that changed and everything surrounding it. But if we're becoming a tourism destination, I mean, we're not as large as Las Vegas, but I think the casinos are open all night, and they stop selling alcohol at a certain time. Now, I don't party anymore like I used to.
Come on now.
Okay, and I don't think that we live in a day and time where adults make their own decisions. And I think that if a property owner, a business owner has their establishment set up to follow the laws of the land, period. And they have the security inside as well as out of the perimeter portion that they are responsible for, as well as the insurance that, I don't see why we cannot accommodate. Because everybody else may not remember or want to or care to remember everything that was happening surrounding the same type of argument that shut down the other club that brought that ordinance into play under emergency management that had everything to do with our shores. Okay, we got to just talk about, we got to tell the whole truth. Half measures will avail all of us nothing. And I don't see why. If this is becoming a tourist destination, there are going to be some people coming in here that's looking for a place. They might like Smokies.
We're not trying to shut down, so we need to be clear, we're not trying to shut down Smokies. This ask was to extend the hours from 2:30 to
Where
4
all of the
p.m.
reports at?
So
So this right here is full of Smokies.
No, but I'm saying, it was for every club. What I'm saying, his ask was to extend the hours from 2:30 to 4.
Yeah.
And so that's what, we don't have a problem with this establishment as it stands now. The ask was to extend it past 2:30.
Can I make your recommendation that we allow our legal to give us a report and come back and have this discussion again?
Yeah, we will, because it was just, it's a
And,
discussion.
and I would ask that if this was
Because I
an
think he
order,
talked to you prior to him talking to me, which is why he ended up here.
yeah, I got you. If this was an order by the emergency manager, that we would please bring that order up. They did a lot of damage while they was here, and if this is an order from him, I'd like to make sure that we know that it is.
Yeah. Recently
So Commissioner
revised.
Henderson, you want to document your agenda for next month?
I just
Everybody won't go
have
to
one thing to say. I can remember years ago that when I was going out, we could go out. They didn't sell alcohol after 2, but we could stay out to 4 o'clock in the morning in the establishment. So that's all I know. It was open until 4, sometimes 5, but usually it was open till 4. So I don't know if you just wanted to 4, but like you said, it might be on. But you couldn't, they didn't sell alcohol when I was going out. So it's just mainly to extend the hours. That's what you do.
And one last important thing is we can't
Commissioner
forget to
Adams,
send
Commissioner
letters
Adams.
to the people surrounding there that lives there
Commissioner
to
Adams.
get their approval.
Commissioner Adams, we're not making any decisions.
Yeah.
We're having a discussion. That's why we're gonna keep, we'll have a discussion at the next meeting.
The last thing I just want to say is, I'm 50 years old. I should have a choice. I've earned my choice. I've earned my choice. I've been through school. I've been through college. I've earned my choice. I'm old enough to make my own decision.
Me too.
As a city, y'all shouldn't take that from us.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of
Please, Mr. Singleton.
Because I'm gonna tell y'all one more thing, and this is what I mean. I'd be glad when all this comes to a head, and I can sit here and visually see who votes yes and who votes no. Then I'm gonna show that you guys exactly that the city will be more behind me versus each and every last person individually. You have to give these people somewhere to go and something to do, because when you don't, guess what? You're gonna be looking at another death. You're gonna be looking at another shooting. You're gonna be looking at another something. The thing is, proper security. When I came to this, who was here? Miss Henry, I think you had just left out. When I came through to this city the first time, and I opened up a place, we sat down, we wrote up an agreement. We wrote that agreement up on how many licensed security guards. I hired a whole security firm from South Bend to come do that parking lot, to be into that building. So the building was 100% and totally secure. If you look into your books, you will see that agreement with Robert Walker. Not only that, when we done children, when we had kids events, which was once a week, look into that agreement. You know what that agreement is? That every kid would get a ride home. That we would not let one kid walk. And we bought dollar rides and stuff to make sure after that party, those kids had a ride home. Now, I still have my agreement with that city. Somewhere with my Foot Locker at home. The thing about it is if everybody stopped trying to pick and say, well, this happened over here last week, and this happened over here this week, why is it happening? Because we don't have any control. Part of the agreement should be to secure the premises inside and out, to make sure that there's no guns on the property, to make sure everything in that area is safe. And the only way you can do that is for everybody to get on the same page.
And that's what my suggestion was, that we talk,
Because
figure out,
they're gonna be on the city.
to,
The lady on Pabon got shot. She still in her house. She in her house. They having a party and they walking up and down the street shooting, and she gets shot in her house. So anything can happen. The thing about it is to understand as adults, we have to contain as much as we, and that's not saying, okay, it's a big party at AJ's this week. After that, where you think everybody going? They're gonna be in these streets.
Don't be hot.
They're gonna be out here in these streets.
Mr. Walker, I hear you. I do hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Let me tell you what's gonna take.
Because
Chair, I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna take, Chair. This is what I'm gonna tell you. I want you to remember this, because I told Ben Township the same thing. No one's gonna listen to what I'm really saying until it happens to one of your family members.
Okay.
Then it's gonna hit home. So you understand what I'm telling you? Then it's gonna get home that we need to make a decision. We need to get something going here.
So I've had.
Then the next thing is with the city manager. I'll hire some off-duty security. Your officers. I'll pay your officers. It got to be a way to make it. It got to be. Okay. It got to be a way to make it safe.
We need to have that conversation.
And that was my initial.
Right now.
That was my initial point of asking for a special use permit, so that you wouldn't open up the floodgates for all just to break loose.
Right.
That was the point of bringing up the special use permit. So therefore, it's only one day, one event. You want another event, you have to come back and
You didn't ask
discuss
about
it.
a special.
Yes, I did.
You asked me about expending the time.
Chair, ask your
Okay.
body.
Because that's what I.
Ask your body, I asked you that too.
Special use permits.
Point of order.
No, it's right.
No, but I'm saying we can do special, so we'll talk, we'll talk.
I was saying because I asked for that
We'll
first
talk
because I
offline.
did not want to open the floodgates. I didn't want everybody just to be out of control.
Special use is different.
So I tried to use a special use permit just for that day, so that everybody couldn't just go wild with everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Then I will send to you.
Let's talk.
Y'all have a good weekend. Be safe.
You had a date?
I didn't see a problem with special use.
Today's my wife's birthday.
What day?
Oh, no, it's too late now.
No, I'm talking about what date were you looking at?
Oh, you talking about the date? No, the date passed that I came that I wanted the special use permit.
Yeah, that's been woo-wee.
Because my birthday,
we gotta keep going.
my
I'm
birthday
sorry.
one day, hers like 6 days
Okay.
after mine.
All right.
I was gonna plan for something for us to have something
Got
together.
you. Okay. All right, but that's not what we talked. You talked about.
No, I'm fine. Like I
Point of
said,
order.
what's the
Let's
next?
go.
What's the next day? Should I be here?
Next month.
Yeah, it'll be next month, unless you talk to Mr. Singleton to see if he'll put it on his agenda.
Oh
for
no,
next
I'll
week.
be here next month. The
first week.
First
week of April.
Wednesday.
First
Wednesday
Wednesday.
of April.
Okay. Y'all have a good.
Thank you.
Good meeting and everything. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Stay up though.
Yeah. The next items on our agenda is the recreational marijuana ordinance.
Oh, no, with that party thing that just happened, we'll be talking about marijuana.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Stay in your lane now.
Oh,
okay.
Stay in your lane.
Okay.
Attorney, hey guys, point of order, we need to keep it order. Yes, because it's still being recorded. Go ahead, attorney.
Yes, so I provided two versions of a adult use, a short form and a longer form. The short form is basically pretty similar to the medical marijuana. The long form I put together because it also clears up some of the issues maybe that we had with the medical marijuana ordinance as it relates to timing. As far it talks about how long an applicant has to cure a deficiency. And so there's something in the ordinance that says, biggest problem we had with medical marijuana ordinance was that the applicants, they had 6, 7, 8 chances to resubmit to cure any of the deficiencies. And there really was nothing in the ordinance that said, you're done, or you have X amount of time to do it. So this is gonna put everyone on notice that you've got 5 business days to correct the deficiencies after the notification. And then there's a denial provision where it talks about, what's gonna happen with the denial and how the rejection takes place. License forfeiture. It talks about, we've got some use standards for the different growers, processors, some of the other micro businesses. Talks a little bit about signage and advertising. I think this one also talks about, the short version had, I think, some language in there that shortened the distance of 300 feet between schools
and churches and.
Right. And the short form also had a little different way of measuring the number of processors or marijuana retailers. Something more than just we're going to have X amount. It talks about those retailers that also have medical marijuana retailing provisioning centers. So there are different ways that the city can place restrictions on the numbers, keeping in consideration what kind of retailers we have for medical marijuana. What I would really like is some comments and suggestions of what you liked and what you didn't like, so I can tailor this more to what.
So I remember at the last meeting, we gave some input in terms of what we wanted in the ordinance with the amount for each business, the location for that. We talked about.
We talked about numbers.
Yeah, we talked about numbers, and we also talked about locations at the last legislative committee meeting.
We talked about numbers, and we talked about 5, the number of feet between schools and churches.
And we talked about where we wanted them to be located as well.
We just talked about location because location is zoning and planning commission.
Right, but I'm saying, but we talked about, we talked specifically about in our community where we wanted those businesses to be located.
Yeah, I think I specifically gave a recommendation of, can we do micro business, could that be commercial? And I think someone did immediately say it was planning. And so I don't know if they can take that recommendation.
Well,
because we were doing medical at, if I remember correctly, was it industrial?
Light industrial.
Well, growers can't have to be an industrial or agricultural. They can't be.
So that's why I was wondering if micro could be commercial. It was just a suggestion.
Well, they're all technically commercial, but a micro business, because it's not technically a grow facility, doesn't have to be limited to ag or
to the industrial. Okay.
And so the one with the 5 days, I think we probably need at least 10 business days, because if somebody has to turn something in and then have to get back to them, so I would suggest at least 10.
That's fine.
10 days to be able to do that. Yeah.
Just throw a number in there. And that's fine.
So I read the short. I have not read the long, but I had a couple of comments, or people can chime in through the chair if needed. But the first comment I have is, we talked about this last month, page 1, where we did the fee, the $5,000 fee. I thought we were going to discuss lowering that for local micro businesses, but I just didn't see that in here. And I might have missed that, but that's one call. I'm sorry. That's one call out I had.
Well, it says a fee of not more than 5,000, so that leaves it up to the city to
Perfect.
Adjust.
Okay, wonderful. The other comment I have is, when you go to page 7, item number 5, so this is talking about the person cannot be indicted or charged or arrested or convicted, and I won't read it, everybody can read it at their leisure. But per my understanding, with the micro business, we are here to help people that if they do have a conviction, they can do the micro business. So again, this doesn't have to be solved right now, but it's just some things that kind of caught my attention that we need to think about, because if Michigan is saying that, you know, we're gonna look at people, we're gonna give them a discount to do the micro business if they have the conviction, why would we say they can't have it to do it, to grow, unless I'm not interpreting that?
This specifically came from the marijuana adult use tax act, state statute. A lot of these requirements. So this is.
Okay. But do you understand my question though? Because I mean, maybe you can look into it. If this wording is okay, you know, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an expert. I'm just calling out, in my opinion, when I read it, if I was a person that had a conviction and I was doing a micro business, it would make me be a little bit confused. And then the other thing I just was wondering about is page 8, number 19. You know, this kind of goes back to, again, the social equity micro business. You know, saying on here, we have to have so many funds liquid. I hope that there is going to be some type of scale, because a person that's locally from Benton Harbor doing social equity, doing a micro business, I mean, goodness gracious, they're not going to have $1 million sitting liquid. You know what I mean? So I just hope that there is some type of something established. Well, for if you're local micro social equity versus if you're, you know, multi-billionaire.
So this ordinance is written and it mimics these state requirements, and so this basically says what the micro business or social equity, if whatever dollar amount that the state requires to cover that specific situation is the dollar amount that the city's going to require.
We'll have it. Okay.
So it you know, every license has a different dollar amount that requirement.
Okay, cool. All right. That's what I have.
Thank you. I wasn't aware that we were touching base on the actual recreational marijuana ordinance, but I'm glad that we are, because I, as previous chair, was able to do some research and prepare for that as well. And what it reminds me of, and the discussion that I'm hearing, is really no differently than the conversation that we just left off of, as far as the establishment of a nightclub. I think it would do us wisely not to open up a floodgate for a micro anything. I think that we need, my suggestion, and it's just my one vote and one voice, but speaking for many others. If I had or wanted to purchase, I would want to know where I'm getting it from, that it's been grown by some professionals that know that I'm eating something healthy or I'm smoking something as healthy as possible. I think that if we go micro in a small form of anything with this thing, that is going to get out of hand, and they will be everywhere like they probably already are, but legally operating. I think that it would do us as the elected body to allow the medical marijuana facilities to, those that want to opt in with the city, to go into a separate business with the recreational as well as the medical. And I have just one other suggestion. If that doesn't, what I would really like to see is one person, is for us to give a run of just one established person that has the funding, the backing, the insurance and attorney to start one facility, a recreational facility, if they would bind themselves to a business contract with the residents of the city of Benton Harbor, donating X amount of dollars for a specific cause, like economic development building or something, upon a percentage of them getting back whatever costs that they incurred up front to start the business. That's what I would really like to see, because I think that that's where our greatest gain will be for the community as a whole. Because the needs are so great for something recreational and everything else.
So
And I think I asked for an attorney's opinion on that.
there is a provision that allows, oddly enough, for something like that where there's a percentage that can be donated back to the city, but it's in the zone. It's a zoning ordinance.
Really?
I was kind of surprised to see that. I was looking over a bunch of adult use ordinances around the state of Michigan, and I saw one. I think it was in Lansing or East Lansing. And so that's something that I put in my notes to talk about with the planning commission when it comes time to talk about the zoning ordinance for adult use.
Okay.
We at our last legislative committee meeting, because as you know, we opted out, and so in order to opt back in,
We have to,
we need
exactly,
so this is just the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, so we gave numbers as to sizes, locations.
I know, but we're not buying by that because we didn't vote on it.
No, we're not, we haven't voted on anything.
Exactly.
This is just the ordinance.
My point exactly. If we can put together the ordinance to where, okay, to not actually put a specific number,
We have to put a specific number.
then we'll
put a
put one.
specific number for recreation.
Well, I guess I'm asking the attorney through the chair, if in fact we can state something to the fact of giving ourselves a dry run of one facility with authority to go no further than 4, say.
If we give a number, then we.
No, I want to hear from the attorney. I mean, how can, because I know that it can be done, because we are the lawmakers.
Well, so right now,
We did give
I mean, the commissioner.
But we were specific about the number that we wanted to do. But what I'm asking, if we can just limit it and not open up the floodgates.
We did put a limit on the commissioner.
So at the last meeting, we went through, we had a discussion and
Yeah,
we said, maybe it was, we think 3 of this, 3 of that. Like
Yes, and I remember that.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that we don't want, I guess, publicly to put that out there because people will start coming. I mean, it's like opening up a floodgate, if you can hear what I'm saying.
Once we approve an ordinance and opt back in, Commissioner Adams, we're saying this is what we would accept. So people will still have to submit applications. So
Yes, but we don't want to, well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying then upon what you just stated is to let them know, just like they knew that we were only going to accept a certain amount, okay, a certain amount, and only X is going to be, 1 is going to be chosen. But if you choose to spend your $5,000 on an application, that's on you gambling, because that's just what happened with medical marijuana. We got 20-something applications. Each person paid $5,000 that's on an application, and they were very aware that we were only choosing a certain amount. So, okay.
I think it's the same thing. The only call out I had made in the beginning was I was talking about the social equity program, and we had talked about like pure social equity. You want to do a micro business? Could that small local Benton Harbor person afford $5,000? So it was just essentially to give the local people, if there is any, I'm not sure, an opportunity.
Is that
play ball for recreation?
That's what the micro means.
Okay, but I know
the social equity.
That's what micro means, but does the law allow that?
Commissioner Adams, she has a question as well too.
Okay, but I'm asking a question. I'm waiting for an answer. Keep cutting.
Well, so I'm a little lost now, but.
Through the attorney.
Well, so Commissioner Adams, you're asking if we can just limit it to
Micro.
one? So the micro business it's still subject to the secure transporter. It still has to be tested just like.
Everything, all of that. I'm not saying a little person, but you still have to have a secured amount of money, just like medical marijuana, in the bank I mean, we need to keep it as simple as possible and not open up our floodgates for more than we are anticipating.
So we were just talking about that social equity program, which I'm not even sure if it's gonna be applicants, but actually Commissioner Henry was in
Social
meetings with
equity?
me. So that's actually what we were just saying, for someone in the social equity program, if they were a local Benton Harbor resident, last meeting, we just kind of talked about, is it possible if they didn't have the 5,000, could they have other, that way you have a local person in the, playing the game. If no
Okay,
one agrees
so-
with that, you don't have to.
Okay, so
It's just
that's where I'm lost, because I didn't know that there was a social equity program for
Yes.
recreational.
Yes.
Well, thanks for sharing. Here's information.
That's what we
See if
talked,
I
we
give you
actually talked
anything
about it
else.
in the last
Okay,
legislative
I would
meeting.
probably
We
sleep
talked
if I
about it.
was here.
You were here.
We talked about it.
Did you guys have information on it? Where is
We
it?
were talking about putting it in
I
our
can,
ordinance.
actually, I think I have it on my phone, I can send it to you.
Thank you.
It's just,
Thank you, dear.
basically, if you're a resident of Benton Harbor for the last 5 years, you get 25%, this is state licensing, 25% off, and then if you
Off
have
what?
a conviction off the state licensing fees
Oh,
for the
okay.
state of
Oh,
Michigan.
okay, I think I
You
did
should,
read
you probably,
something.
you probably did.
There's a 2-page application through Michigan Law that talks about,
Okay.
it's called the Social Equity Program, Social Equity Application, and it asks you which county and talks about.
There we go again. You want someone that's running something secure. See, we're not talking about just allowing Johnny or Jane to come and open up a little pot shop
But that's what you said.
without security and everything else.
No, the state of
No,
Michigan.
no,
is
sweetie, these are
regulating-
state-of-the-art stuff that we've approved.
But the state of Michigan is gonna regulate everything still. It's not like it's going to be every time
Right,
Harry.
right.
It's still gonna have to be someone with business acumen. It's just opening the door for a local person who maybe is
We
not.
got that, we got control of that, I ain't worried about that. Okay.
Commissioner Harry?
Yes, sir. I would suggest we kick this can down the road a couple more times. Because, and I think, Rock, I've got actually 4 copies of adult use ordinance. So I think you need, Chair, to put a timeline on it. If all the commissioners have this now, they should be able to give some consideration on one or all 3 of them. Whatever we do, it should come back to here, and we should have some of our input as well as the citizens' input on how the recreation marijuana is gonna be handled in Benton Harbor. And it's essential that we put things in place to help our citizens become owners, business owners in medical marijuana, in recreation marijuana. It's gonna take a lot of work for us to put it together. It didn't work in Illinois, but it's got to work in Benton Harbor.
So I think there were, last month I sent 2 copies of different ordinance of samples, and then this month there were drafts that were specific.
So, so last month he sent, several ordinances, and so the ordinance that you have before you is what came out of the last legislative meeting, because we were trying to narrow it down.
Which
So,
one?
The 2 drafts came out of the last legislative meeting, because we're not just meeting to have meetings, we want to get the ordinance completed. So he gave us drafts, and from those drafts at the last meeting, we put together stuff that we'd like to see, and so he sent those out, so that now the commission can actually narrow it down to make it even more specific to the city of Benton Harbor and what we want to see. So that's what the next meeting, the legislative meeting, will be, the more specific ordinance that we've agreed upon, that we'll vote on in our April committee meeting. Our April commission meeting. So we're doing the due diligence.
So two of these drafts that we're gonna mark up, and one of them.
Yep, so by April, the April 5th meeting, it should be marked up. You should have any changes in place.
I got
you sent to him,
And
and then
who do
we'll
we
vote
sit-
on it.
Who do we sit our changes into?
So wait, hold on, let me make sure I'm
Which one are you doing?
So there's two of them. So from these two, you're taking out what you want to see. These are the drafts that we ended up with.
Purpose of intent and.
Short and long.
So they all say draft.
Okay, effective.
One is the short form, which is 12 pages, and one is 25 pages.
Okay, okay.
So go ahead.
Gotcha.
So are they being asked, the commission and committee members being asked to send their changes before the next legislative
Yes.
committee meeting?
Before the
And then
Yep.
to the attorney, or how, I'm just trying to figure out how this,
Suggestions.
send the suggestions to the, so send it to me and then I'll send it to the attorney, so we do need to put a deadline on it.
We need to put a deadline on it.
So this is the
So
beginning,
the
first
next
week.
meeting is April 5th, right? Let me just look at the calendar real quick. So I would ask, let's see, April 2nd, first is actually.
Well,
If I could have suggestions to me by March, Monday, March 30th work, is that enough time for you to review and make suggestions? Send it to me, then I'll have enough time to give it to
The last Friday in March.
So, but you want the attorney to do what before the legislature? That's not giving him enough time to.
So the
Probably
30th of March.
It's on Monday.
So the 27th. The 27th of March.
Okay, 27th of March.
27th of March.
And then I can give it forward it to the attorney for him to have time to review. April 1st. The next legislative meeting. Is that enough time? Well, let's ask him if there's enough time.
It depends on the changes in the markups.
okay, my question would be,
The 15th of
why we can't do what we elected to do and get to this and get it in sooner and have a meeting?
Because you come to the meeting, you're saying that you don't know this and that.
No, I didn't see these.
That's a legislative
But
meeting.
no, now.
That's why, dear.
No,
We
no,
would've
no,
been done. If it was left up to us.
I have them now.
Commissioner, March 15th, is that enough time for everyone to review and get their
Yes.
changes to me?
Yes.
March
Is that enough
15th.
time, Commissioner Adams?
Actually, it's too
15th.
much.
March 15th?
Girl, Commissioner
I'm
Adams.
serious. I mean, it should have been done.
I just need a date.
Yes. It's
For real.
March 15 sounds good to me.
Okay.
That's,
Your meeting is what?
That's all I need.
The first Wednesday, and that would hit up, what, with our second meeting of the month,
First.
of April?
Yeah.
the commission.
Yeah. So that's a long ways off, is what I'm saying.
we got to.
But if we got power though to move
So the
fast if
timeline
we
would
need
be
to.
submit changes to me by March 15th,
Yeah.
the end of the day, and then it'll go on the legislative committee, agenda for April 1st for discussion,
By
on
March
to the city commission for final approval. At
There
the
you
second
go.
meeting in
Second
April.
meeting, yes.
Actually, get some
Wait a
done.
minute, you say by March 15th,
That's when the changes are due.
Yes.
March 15th, but your meeting isn't until way 3 weeks later.
But I don't let the attorney.
Yeah,
Oh,
attorney
okay,
has-
time.
Can we give him time
Time
to do his
to,
part?
put it together and give it back to us so we can
Yeah.
act, see if it,
That's the deadline.
yep. Works for me.
Okay.
I mean, I can do a lot, but I can't, I need a little bit of time.
Okay.
All right. Scoring system.
So can I point out that I just was shown a memo from the former city manager back on August 3rd of 2018 with a resolution with a scoring system already apparently passed. I don't remember seeing this obviously, but it's the same criteria that is in our ordinance is the one that I provided to the committee. I just used a 1 through 5 and made it simpler with circle it and some notes and total the score. And I put some, obviously we're gonna pick 4, but I suggested we pick the top 4, then we'd select 2 additionals as alternates. So for whatever reason, if one of the first 4 can't get approved by the state or the planning commission, or doesn't, we've got someone that we don't have to go back through the whole process over again.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what I put in my portion of my version of the scoring sheet.
So that's what this one right here represents.
It's the one that's got,
Right. The numbers on it, the 1 through 5?
Yep, yes,
Yeah, the 4 page. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I can change the numbers, based off of the resolution that was already passed. Instead of the 1 through 5, I can make it 1 through 8 on those that were voted on, and 1 through 10 on the 2 that show maximum points, and there's one that's 1 to 5, so I could change the point values.
Don't make it too high, cause we get confused.
Yeah, the 5 is good.
Okay, so there's no way I'm gonna sit here and allow. I get enough of it from Donald Trump every day. We get up trying to undo what Barack did, and that's exactly what you would be doing, because this is the same attorney that approved the one that Isom and myself and the other elected officials on the legislative committee put together.
Okay, so one question.
The document that's already been passed, the
Do you have a
scoring,
copy of that?
the scoring, and it has everything to do with the conversation that we were just talking about when it comes to micro, allowing longtime city residents, read them. Just like I was trying to get y'all to read stuff when I was sending it to you, just like these 2 you just gave me, these drafts. Yeah,
That came up.
it's circling back around. They were passed. The scoring system was passed by this commission
Yes, don't vote.
over a year ago.
This right here.
This, when I left it in return, I gave you
The letter.
When everybody didn't want it.
You got it? You have it?
What's happened to?
I do my stuff. I put a lot of work in it.
Oh, this right here?
It says August.
This right here?
Yeah, that's the one.
2018.
Honestly, I don't remember it, but
I don't remember it.
but
I don't remember it.
When it was passed.
So he just has to go through and make it happen, right? Like, so if it says 8 on here, 10 on
yeah, I can just change like,
Pretty easy.
yeah,
Okay.
and that's what I suggested.
Can I say something too? Y'all are a lot more sophisticated about this stuff now than you were then.
Mhm.
So to make the changes now, recommend changing this, it's up to you.
No,
So,
nobody has even read them.
Commissioner Adams, she had a question.
So I wanted to say something, Commissioner Adams. When I was speaking earlier, I was specifically saying micro, but I want to make sure you take away social equity.
Yeah.
Because I should have been putting that in front of micro,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I confused you, but I want you to be clear when I say the local residents. I was talking about the social equity program.
I am.
Even though I was saying micro, because I'm
And when
assuming
you
that's
read
what they'll
that-
probably do.
When you read that and you saw the interviews, you'll come right back to exactly what you just said. I promise you.
You're gonna keep the chair, you're gonna keep the score system at 5?
Come forward, you the one that put them together.
Yeah, I know, but
Yes, but read the
So
scoring.
what I would
as to
say
what-
is, I would like to put a resolution forward. Because this one, I understand what you're saying, Commissioner, but as we're reading through this, we only have to count to 5. On this one, it's 8
Yeah,
on one.
I mean,
and
life
it's
isn't
10.
that simple though.
It's 10 on the.
Life isn't even that simple.
It's 5 on one, it's 8 on one, and this one is the same going across. Did you look at this one?
I mean, yes, I have.
It's
I have,
1
but
through
read
5.
the questions that go along with the
I
other
mean,
scoring.
if we want
It
to
was
change,
done that way for a reason.
if we want to change the question, it's the same.
Yeah, they're the same
They're the same
questions,
questions
just different numbers.
They come straight from those cities.
from the
And
city
you
ordinance.
did, you should know.
What I'm saying.
I didn't do that, I didn't do the 1 through 18.
You didn't?
No, I think Darwin did that.
Yeah, he didn't do that.
But they're
I've
the
never
same,
seen
they're
it.
the same question.
I didn't do that. I
They're the
can't do
same
those.
question.
Yeah,
That's
they're
what I'm saying.
identical.
They're just 1 through 5.
Okay,
It's the
then
same.
why mess with them?
We're not doing that. That's what I'm saying. Mr. Adams, please, you know,
Then why mess with them?
all
If
we're
it's the
doing
same
is
thing, why is
voting,
it
we're
even
voting on a process so we can get done.
Exactly, and one of them within the ordinance that was put through and that was passed,
But
it had everything to do with if you are a
it's the same
city
thing.
resident
It's the same thing.
and-
Commissioner. It's the same thing.
Okay,
It's the same thing. So
send it forward.
It's the same thing. We will.
Send it forward.
What do we say? But it's voted on, right? But it's already, yeah, I guess already voted on. So we don't need to send it forward, we just need to.
Oh, no, those changes will be voted on.
So there's change? Well, because the numbers are different. This one says it's up to 8, then it's 10 on one.
If it's the same
5 on
thing,
one.
leave it
This is
alone.
straight across.
If it's the same thing, leave it alone.
Commission's already voted on the scoring, I could just change the
Yeah,
numbers
the
on
numbers,
this.
that's it.
There you go.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah.
Just go to 8 on
Just
one,
go to-
10 on another one, 5 on the other one.
So my next question,
Oh my gosh.
can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? My next question is, so after we get that figured out, I think that we should have a special meeting to actually, conduct or do the scoring for the provision. Yeah, that's my suggestion. So are we ready to set a date for that or no?
Yes.
Yes.
We are?
Yes.
Okay, so how about next, I'm so tired, next Wednesday after the committee meeting?
It's 5:30 this morning.
Yeah, I'll be okay, I have an election Tuesday, but I can handle it on Wednesday. So if we can do it after the committee meeting on Wednesday.
So you wanna wait till after the election?
Yeah, if we could do it that Wednesday though, on the 11th at 7 o'clock. Do we wanna do, is that okay with everyone? I'm okay, I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
You know what? Yes, because it needs to happen really soon.
Commissioner Allen.
I just want
Yeah,
to make
we
sure all
understand that, but.
commissioners have reviewed all the applications and they're, I don't want to
We're
make it
here.
too soon, well, not all, whatever. But if everyone's ready to go on Wednesday, then
Yes.
Let's go,
let's
yes,
do it.
yes, schedule.
Special city commission meeting on March 11th at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page. And this
I mean-
is solely for the scoring of the provisioning center
Application.
and the issuance of the licenses.
Listen, so you want some changes to scoring system 1 through.
Yeah, I'll change it to match what was passed. in
So I don't
18.
understand why, so you'll have 1 through 8 instead of 1 through 5.
Well, some of them will be 1 through 8, there'll be 2 of them, there'll be 1 through 10, and then there'll be 1 through 5.
So that's one,
And then, so then just add them up and
Lord have mercy.
that's what yours had.
That's yours.
Commissioner, that's what yours had on there.
Well, how many questions?
Same
How many
exact-
questions is it? Name count.
I'm counting 13.
13.
Let's get this out the way. Yeah, let's get it out the way.
It's time.
So-
Leave it, just pass it.
Oh, that mic is going out.
Pass it, I'm about tired of all this. Send it forward, special meeting next Wednesday. Please, y'all.
Miss, Thompson,
Yes.
so
I'm tired of this.
we need to, well, you said it's already been approved, so he's just gonna change it, so we don't have to vote on it. Okay.
He'll just change the score.
I'll change the numbers,
The number.
and then I will give it to Kim.
Yeah.
Don't even change it, just do it.
No, let's
Just
change
do
the
it.
number.
Yeah, let's change it.
Yes.
We have 1 per applicant.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right, that's it.
Let's go to,
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
I just gotta make this, because a ball of confusion is just confusion. Now, these questions, most of these questions have already been answered by staff because they approved them. Most of these questions, unless you wanna go through that file and find out about the felonies or the misdemeanors that the people had, those are already checked out by our police department. They already did the background check.
Yes, but some of them have, even though they passed background checks, maybe some of them have like some prior substances, like a marijuana charge or.
But yeah,
something.
true, but even one, the state had a comment about the records. They said, well, we have some concerns, but that didn't seem to be our concern. Cause I don't know if we even looked at the part where they showed where they records. Now,
Well, they're in each application, there's a section.
yeah, except the one that just did the little short ones for us. They left out a lot of information.
Well, they were checked by the Department of Public Safety, so if there was nothing, if there was nothing in there, they would sign it just an affidavit saying they have no
Right,
criminal record.
right, but then they all passed. Public safety passed them all.
Yeah, but that's what we're rating them on. So we're rating them based on those things. So if a person didn't have any,
Past, prior, yeah.
you're just rating them on those
Yeah.
things that they've already been through. If they met all of those criteria,
Right.
and we're just rating them on those things. That's why the questions are the same. So if you
Okay.
want to give them an 8 on that, you can. If you want to give them a 5, you want to give them a 1 or 2 or 0,
It's just
whatever
like
it
the way
is.
our
You're just rating them on those things.
Okay.
The way our teacher
That's
grades
what we're
us.
rating.
Now,
Yeah.
is it
Give you
possible
an A
for us to have our
They pass the
have our own question on here?
Because then we would have to have that same extra question for every person that was, and then we have to vote to change this form. We would have to wait until the next meeting because we'd have to prove another form.
Well,
We added another question.
but these criteria are from the ordinance.
From the
so
ordinance.
We can't really add something now because the
Right.
applicants haven't been held. These are the standards that our
Right.
ordinance requires.
So we're just rating them on those things, Commissioner. The
I mean,
things
you
that
can
they've already
ask- I
met.
mean,
Madam Clerk,
Yes, ma'am.
can you give me, documents to this August 3rd? Or I'll just come and get it from you.
Okay.
I wanna see this meeting.
Check your email.
Okay, then we can't change the question, we can't ask any more questions other than what's on this memo.
Commissioner Henry, can I just point out, the first question is the applicant's experience in operating medical marijuana provisioning centers. 2 is like the general business management experience. They've all provided a business plan, and they've all provided their prior experience in whether it be medical marijuana, whether it be other licensing, whether it be real estate or the Michigan Liquor Control or other states' licensing boards and bodies. So those are the things that you can take a look at when you're trying to rate their performance for each of these
Okay.
questions.
Okay,
So it can be whatever you think based on their application, their presentation. If you didn't like the way that someone's, hasn't had any experience, you can give them a 1, or anywhere in between versus someone who's done it a long time.
well, I'm looking for what I always ask about, the jobs
Right.
and the community benefit. I don't see none of these that I can score them on.
I know.
Those are the things that I'm interested in. These are the things that the state of Michigan is interested in.
But-
Once they pass, all I wanna know is,
Well, we got a chance to hear that.
so I don't get to have,
But we have to follow our ordinance, and our ordinance doesn't have anything about, job
Community
requirements.
benefits package.
And really, yeah, we don't, that didn't get passed back in 17, 18 with the ordinance when we passed the medical marijuana. I mean, it wasn't even a thought back then, I think. This is,
yeah,
well,
it was a thought.
well,
Anything that run into Benton Harbor is about what? Jobs and education. So, hey, it was a
Well,
thought,
it's
but it,
for you.
somehow,
It's
I
for
never
jobs.
did.
Guys, we gotta keep we're still running. So we'll vote to move this, yeah, to use that form.
Yes.
The next one is, I'll go to number 7, which is discussion of temporary moratorium on the issuance of certain sign permits.
we're gonna need an extension. I just, because I'm going on, I just finished a 30-page appellate brief on
Okay.
the Adams outdoor appeal of the CBA's. And they wanted the litigation on the circuit court and the appeal stuff and with the medical marijuana, everything else. I looked at St. Joe's new sign ordinance that they just passed this year. And so I'm starting to look at it.
So next month,
We'll need to probably recommend to this commission to extend the moratorium over
Okay.
6 months.
So that's what this is.
Can we do it at the special meeting?
Let's deal with just the, I would say just a license.
Mhm.
And we'll have to, whenever the 6 months is up, it's coming up in April, I believe. So it could be, should be quick.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we just need another 6 months.
So this will go to the full body at the next commission meeting?
Just to
City
suggest
clerk?
that,
The next commission meeting.
to continue.
The moratorium,
So just to extend the.
To extend the
To
moratorium.
extend it, correct.
a resolution to extend.
Yes.
And I will say that
Sounds
it
wonderful.
took St. Joe 2 years. So, I mean, it's not an easy thing. There's a lot of moving parts. So.
Can we put a year to
Thank you.
it?
Huh?
A year?
No, I mean, how long did
Well,
it
it's a
take?
6 month, 6 month
Yeah, 6
extension.
months
We've done-
extension.
Yeah.
And the final agenda item is the, item before, I think Commissioner Adams asked about this, it was a council rules 2000 resolution that was passed about, appointments, ordinance amendment to committee appointments. I have a question to the clerk, were you here for this one?
No,
So the commission actually voted on this?
the
No.
commission, no, yes, they did. They voted on it, but what the issue was, it didn't get published. So it didn't become, yeah,
So
so
it's a published one,
it should have been published.
okay, so this
So
is
that was the
already,
only issue. It was approved, but it didn't get published.
okay, so,
That's right, that's right. So, yeah, because
It
it didn't get published, it's considered not good. It has, you have to revote.
revote it,
Yeah, it have to,
okay,
but it did get approved in 2000, it just didn't get published.
gotcha, so it has to be revoted.
Has to be revoted on, and then, I have to, if it gets approved, I have to publish it for it to be enforced.
So what exactly is it that has to be revoted?
That,
The ordinance itself?
that, yeah,
The
that
resolution
ordinance,
itself?
it's that ordinance amendment.
Okay. And then to publish it. Okay. I don't know, but he thought it was a great idea then, and he was right. It's scary having somebody like Ronald Jones.
Before we end, I'd like to ask former mayor a question. So the ordinance that we're taking a look at is, Commissioner, Adams brought forth, was,
No.
during,
Mayor Yarborough.
Mayor Yarborough brought it forth, but she brought it back up
Mhm.
for this to be voted on, and so it was an ordinance amendment to committee appointments. So as it stands now, every mayor appoints people to the committee based on a vote of the commission. So he can appoint, but he accepts, the mayors, they accept recommendations from any of us about committees. And so, go
I
ahead.
add clarity to it, because I had to do research on this. So in 2000, the Mayor Yarborough at the time had the power to appoint members to various committees, standing committees and whatnot. And, that ordinance amendment took that power away from him to do that, and it gave it to the commission to make those appointments.
Body.
So that was the change.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's the way it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It doesn't speak to
it doesn't
standing
speak to
committees.
that. But when you were the mayor, what did you do the appointments?
It was, the mayor did the appointment, it was brought to the mayor did the appointment, and the commissioners, okay.
Confirmed.
Okay, and that's
And that
that's the
needs to
same
change.
process that we have now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, that's what we have now.
And from my experience with the committees, it has been, you mean just the committee appointments or?
Some
Overall,
things you
all.
can't do, like you cannot make appointments to the plan. It has to be the mayor's
The mayor
recommendation
recommendations.
confirmed by the commission.
Right,
For planning commission, library, some of the board speaks to, those appointments in the charter. You can't change them.
right.
So we're basically speaking on standing committees,
All committees.
standing committees, but like I said, certain boards, housing commission, planning commission, library board, those have to remain the same with the recommendation coming from the mayor confirmed by the city commission.
Gotcha.
So you can't change that through this ordinance.
Thank you.
I think from what I've read, that ordinance changes it all.
It can't change it. You cannot change a charter. You can't change what's in the charter. You cannot.
Some residents is what brought that to light to me.
Okay.
after they got tired of coming down here sitting and watching what's been going on for many years. And I was actually shocked when he brought it to me and said, this right here needs to happen. And I've been had it for when I was a legislative chair. I didn't fight that because I think that you, and everybody else deserves some experience. And sitting right there. Yeah. Trying to learn how government works and try to create and rewrite laws and ordinances and everything in the rightful order. It leads all the way over to the one that does all the heavy lifting. Yeah.
I agree.
Is there any other comments? Thank you, Commissioner Adams. So what, Chair, Vice Chair,
Yes.
do you have any comments on this issue?
No comments, we didn't brought this forward before, so if it's the will of the commission, you know.
All right, so I
It
will
just
so
wasn't
move this-
published.
move
Ain't that
this,
something?
ordinance to the full body commission. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for a vote.
Yep, these are not my committees or boards,
Thank you so much.
people.
That is it on our agenda. Thank everybody for coming out. Have a great evening. Well, Mayor, it was so good to see you.
So Commissioner Isaac. Commissioner Isaac.
Same stuff.
Sorry. You got your hands full.
I do like the meeting.
Oh, that was great. Oh, you talking about?
How it is.
Oh, she's
How was it?
Oh, that's not good.
Are you with Mr. Joseph? She was great. How was it? No?
Now he's back. He ain't
Miss Campbell helped.
I sure would, whatever.
That lady up there.
Oh, no, I wanted to ask you about
Do I have
that.
a premature conversation? If I did, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
They do me like that.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, yeah. What's the black market? What is it?
I get you.
No,
Nice too. Yeah, doing.
She was real, too, you know. You know what I'm saying? Great job.
Listen, you and I need to talk soon.
What is the name of that piece of
I
paper?
think I got
This is two.
Uh-huh.
She's gonna call you, so. Because I did.
No, I think, yeah.
Today's meeting.
He went to, what you got?
Yeah, and I want my.
Oh, they let you go with a bus man?
Tim, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
They let
Call
me
me,
in,
please call.
they let me in and I want my certificate. She gonna call you, and I told her.
Okay, we got a free, because we supposed to pay that.
See?
We was supposed to pay for
But the
that.
citizen's supposed to be free anyway.
I
Yeah, we get that, I want it for my resume.
What you say?
He looked at me the other day. Like, what is she talking about? And I know I talked to him about it 6 months ago. Only reason I remember because I wrote myself a note and I found the note.
Cut the light off.
They won't come out. I'm tired.
I'm trying to.
You know what, because I know that it's urgent for the commission. It should be, I'm tired. I can tell you no lie.
Do all, you guys do all the work.
I'm so tired. Y'all gotta pray for me on that.
And we talked about it.
God.
You don't want.
I think we should. Yeah.
Well, of course, we got a job and family and church and all that. I will go to church. I ain't got no time.
Maybe I go and take I didn't even do that. Cause I'll be wrapping up the lecture. Oh, Lord, y'all pray for me.
Cause he got all the information and he
See you,
really.
Mr.
Yeah,
Clear them out. Thank you for clear them out.
You ain't got to just keep
Hey,
it.
cut the lights out.
He got his raise.
That's so good.
I'm just trying to help you out.
I was gonna ask him about that, but I wasn't.
Well, I agree with you. But like old girl said, my son, I don't want my son at your place of business. I wouldn't want my son at his place of business, but I'm not gonna stop anybody else, and they're grown too.
I wouldn't even go myself.
You know,
And none about you.
right? I wouldn't want that.
The control, as long as he controls.
Yep, and I know, but let's have a
what I'm saying
conversation
is
about
that
it. And he didn't talk to me about a special use permit. That's different.
Yeah,
He talked to me about changing the hours to 4 a.m.
But he thought about it later on about it.